show. Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome into the show. Hi. Talking Trek is live. What's going on, everybody? Woo! Appreciate you guys all being here. What's happening? My name is UltimatDJz. This is Talking Trek Live. Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast here for show number 2 of the day. As we continue bringing you the content that we love making for you, that we owe you, and that we're going to try to knock out here on a holiday weekend. Appreciate you guys all being here. As always, we're going to start the show with a Talking Trek server sound off. You guys go ahead and punch it up in chat. Noon whistle on server 29. What's going on? Dragon Keeper on server 53. Thank you, Sherlock Holmes on 27. Benny Hills goes on 42. I see Gameplay Jace. What's going on server 44? How you doing? Indominus Prime on 53. Sui Chaos on 26. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you guys all being here. What's happening? J-Babes on server 13. Major Pothead on 67. Check on 84. C Engineering on 36. Odysseus on server 11. Thank you. What's up, Battle Cry? How you doing? Over on YouTube chat. Chris on server 30. Wristbreaker on server 70. Thank you. Craig on European 110. First time catching the stream live. Appreciate you hanging out here on a European-friendly version of the show. Enterprise on server 30. How you doing? Lost in on 55, now 45. Voltron on server 49. Dave Gross on server 32. Thank you. What's going on? Jackson of None on server 24. How are you? I feel like my chat is bouncing around like in all kinds of weird places. Steven, what's going on? Server 104. How are you? The Wowie on 104 as well. Hobbits on server 140. Kilroy on 702. Rusty Halo on 80. Chronox on 121. MJ on 36. Kelrick on 178. Floyd on 21. Jeff Games on server 91. Bender the Robot on 51. Polish Prince on server 24. MJ on 36. Wristbreaker on 70. V-Real on 80. Cruzito on 13. Krusty the Gnome on server 44. Jondrel on 32. Prince Mihai on 104. What's going on? Pyramir on 118. Holy Hoya on 153. Thank you guys very much. What is going on? Penfold on 137. Kirko on 57. Everybody, welcome in. My name is UltimatDJz, and thank you for being here on our live taping of Talking Trek, Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast. Appreciate you guys one and all. My partner, Griffin, is back from business. How are you, my good sir? Welcome back to the stage. How are you?
How are you doing out there? Happy Sunday, everybody. I'm good, DJs. How are you today?
I am doing better today. I've got a lot of stuff to catch people up on. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about in the game. Also, there's been some questions about what's going on in my life for the last couple of days, and I know some people tune in for that, some people don't. I'm going to try to knock that out.
Wait. The last couple of days, there's been questions about what's going on in your life for about 6 years now, pal.
Okay,
let's get that right.
That's true, but the last 72 hours have been very emotional. On Tuesday, actually, was it even Tuesday? It might have been Wednesday. I came out and said, guys, I have to cancel Thursday's show, all right, because I got a phone call. All right, I had to go, and I'm gonna share this with you. Might as well go ahead and get into it. I don't want to spend a bunch of time on this for those of you who are here for the Talking Trek stuff and for Star Trek. We're going to get to that, but a lot of people have also been in my DMs and posting because I mentioned on Tuesday that Landon had sent me a message. Now, a lot of you guys know here a few months ago that Landon went through something really, really challenging. Landon is my oldest son. He's 18. And he was going through just some really, really weird stuff. I don't know where it came from. There was some drug use, and he dropped out of high school, and like there was just
a lot of late teenage life choices that many people go through.
Yeah. There was some, and I don't really know where it came from, Griffin. It was very sudden, that he just decided that this is what he wanted to do. And he had a full scholarship to West Virginia University. He let that go. He's not going to do that. He just suddenly decided that he was going to do something else, and that was really, really challenging for his mother and I. And so we had kind of laid down some rules of hey, this is what we expect of you. This is what we're going to do. This is these are the rules if you're going to live in our house and you're going to do this stuff. And he was like, fine, I won't live in your house. So he packed up his stuff and he moved out, moved in with his girlfriend, and they're doing their thing. And for a period of a couple of weeks, I hadn't spoken to him. And that was really, really tough. Like, I had reached out. I tried to send a couple of text messages here and there, and I wasn't getting any response. And I was just trying to give him his space, all right, because he was.
It's not like you decided not to talk to him. He simply wanted a little time to be his own self, and finally
figure out what was.
Here we are now, this chapter.
Yeah, figure out what's next for him. So that was really, really challenging for his mom and myself. There were a lot of emotions and just a lot of conversations and a lot of concern, last week, actually not, this is how crazy this has been. This is all this week. Tuesday, I get a message from him and he says, Dad, I would like for you to come up and visit. I need to talk to you about some stuff, and I'd like to invite you to dinner. So that's the first time he had spoken to me in probably a week or two, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go. There's no way I'm not going. Right, Lost In, thank you for dropping 20 gifted subs into the chat. I appreciate that very much. We're going to celebrate that here in a second. McSurgeon says, Grandpa DJ. The thought crossed my mind, McSurgeon, and I was very worried about that because he's not ready for that. Not that I'm not okay with something like that. Just he's not in a life position to be able to do that right now. Okay, but that thought crossed my mind. I was concerned. So I told the community, Griffin, on Wednesday, I got to cancel Thursday's show. I am headed up to where he is. He invited me to dinner, and so I was going to go. So I get to where he is Thursday after work. I drive up, and I meet with him, and he's dressed very nicely. He's dressed nicer than I am. I mean, he's wearing a shirt and tie and pants and nice dress shoes, and he looks all great and everything. And he hands me an envelope. And inside the envelope was a ticket to his high school graduation.
What?
I don't know how he did it, Griffin. He gave me a big hug, and he said, I hear you. He said,
No way.
He took himself back to school. And in the period, and now listen, he had to have struck a deal. He had to have, because listen, his school told me he could not graduate. All right.
You went, you visited, you begged, you pleaded, you explained the situation, the whole 9 yards. And they're like, hey, look, sir, I hate to tell you, but he's just, not enough time.
There's not enough time.
Too many classes. He's out. Yeah.
So I burst into tears for a minute, and then I asked him. I said,
floored. I am literally floored.
I said, how did this happen? He said, well, I went, I talked to everybody, like you said. His professors gave him the opportunity to make up work. Every single one of them gave him a chance to make up work for partial credit. But that partial credit, Griffin, was enough to bring the average up enough to where he still had to have a B in his math class for this final 6 weeks. And he finished it with an A. The dude finished his last 6 weeks of his senior year with straight A's. Now, I was counting my blessings. I didn't want to be like, see, this is what you could have done all along. I knew he was capable of that all along. But there was just something, man, that was in his way. It was a mental block. It was something going on with him. And then he decided, Griffin, to take it upon himself. I don't have words.
Never since the season finale of Felicity, the series finale in 2001, have we seen such a remarkable turnaround in high school / college education life. If you don't like that, You don't like a nice, good Hallmark story. That's what this is. I mean, give
I
me
was
a break.
so proud of him. I was so proud of him. You don't even know. Nobody knew. His mom didn't know. His brother Noah didn't know. As a matter of fact, Noah had told me, he said, hey, weird, I saw Landon at school today. And so I would text. I'm like, hey, what were you doing? He was like, I was just doing some paperwork, you know. Bro. He was working. And it was almost as though he didn't say anything to anybody, maybe in case it didn't work or in case he couldn't, you know, in case it wasn't going to work out. I don't know. I didn't ask any questions. I asked no questions, Griffin. I gave him a huge hug.
Well, you know what they said on Mr. Ed? Never look a gift horse in the mouth. And this is definitely one of those.
For sure. I asked no questions. I said, I was so proud. I'm in tears. He hands me my ticket to his high school graduation, and then we take off.
I'm full of positive energy.
And I get this photo, which I will share in the graphics room here in just a moment. I get this photo, which is absolutely going up on a frame in my house. This was just so sweet and so emotional, and there he is right there, buddy, graduating high school with both his brothers, and he didn't tell a soul. Didn't tell a soul, Griffin. He just did it.
You know, this is going to be a book. This is going to be the first or second chapter in the presidential story of your son after he turns 50 or 60, runs the country. I mean, that is a monumental undertaking on the back of so many questionably bad choices.
Yeah.
To turn that around and surprise you and everybody, even Noah, unless Noah was in on it. I mean, literally,
no,
this is a once
you know
in a
what? I'm going to
lifetime
see if I
story.
can find. I've got one more picture I want to share with you, and here's how I know that Noah didn't know. Let me see if I can find this other picture. I want to share one more picture with you. Hang on. I didn't have it loaded. Let me see if I can find it, because this was actually on somebody else's phone. Let me see if I can find this picture.
Did he was he wearing a suit and tie just to impress you when he gave you the envelope, or was that another part of the story?
Well, that was his graduation. Like, he wore a shirt and tie underneath his graduation robe.
You actually arrived on the day of his graduation?
Yes. He called his,
not knowing that you were about to go to the graduation.
No, I'm not even showing. I am not even showing a picture of me with him, because I was wearing work clothes, Griffin. I was wearing work clothes. So here, I want to share this picture.
Man, he got everybody good.
Yeah. And I'm just so proud of him. I can't begin to speak of how proud I am of him for making his own way.
I think the whole community is proud of him. Rusty Halo in the chat says, I'm not crying. You're crying. 4 of Raj. Lovely to hear this. DJs, thanks for sharing it. I mean, I'm telling you, the outpouring of positivity is incredible.
Let me show you a couple of photos here. Oh, Lord.
Oh, he's crying. Noah's literally crying right there. There you go. Yeah, he didn't know.
He did not know.
Well,
look at this one. I mean, this is a little bit better. This just, everybody was so proud of him. And
teenagers are capable of incredible things, incredibly good and incredibly terrible. And this is one of the most incredibly good stories I've heard.
Nobody asked, nobody inquired, just he, I see this in the chat, like maybe it was just, there was pressure. Maybe he was feeling the pressure. I don't know. I'm incredibly grateful to his educators, Check, absolutely, because they had to have worked with him. They told me it wasn't possible. So that means that they were willing to go back and let him make up work. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were willing to go back.
It's one thing when the parent comes in and pleads for their child. It's a completely different thing when the child returns back to school after being out and says, you know what? I've had a change of heart. I made a mistake. I really want to finish this. isn't there anything that you can do to help me? That's when the miracles happen. When the child is engaged and wants it to happen, no educator is going to not find a way to make that happen. So
That's what
kudos
he
to
did.
that high school and doing the right thing there.
They did. His teachers obviously worked with him, and he obviously put in some really, really hard work. And I was so surprised. I was so floored at this whole thing. But I was just so, I don't know. I don't have any more words. That was the dinner that he invited me to, guys, on Thursday, was him saying, and he, when we had a minute to ourselves, he said, I just want you to know, he's like, I heard you. He's like, I'm still doing my thing. This is my life, and I'm going to do it the way I want. He's like, but I realized that this was important.
Especially considering the low and the possibilities that you were worried about and facing on that ride up there for that lunch. We all know what sort of wild things were on your mind and what you were bracing yourself, what calamity you might be walking into and facing. And then on the back of it, to have such an incredible opposite of that.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, because you're right.
Heart attack,
Listen,
man.
when he called, I was going to go. There was no way I wasn't going to go. He called and said, he just said I wanted to have dinner. I mean, what if I'd said no? Or what if I'd said I was busy? He'd probably come clean at that point and tell you, well, no, you got to be here. There's a very special thing happening. But you bought into he
it
knew.
because that's the kind of dad you are.
Well, yeah.
And he knew what kind of dad you were. So
he knew I was
if
going
he
to come.
called you and asked for help, that you were going to absolutely be up there. And, it was not, hey, she's knocked up, we're married, and I'm assistant manager at the drive-thru now.
Yeah.
It was something completely different, and you will never forget that. And I could not be more impressed of your boy. Wow.
He got it together. And so for those of you who have been asking, thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for your prayers. For those of you who have asked how that dinner went, that was it. And that was why I didn't want to spoil the surprise. I wanted to share it. And I also knew that I could only share it one time because I just don't have the mental fortitude to do this a second time. And
you've done it with a tear in an eye. I can only imagine how you must have felt at the time. You must, you're on fire at this point in time.
Oh, that's hilarious that you say that. Because that bridges to the second part of my story. So now listen, Killer says, has he told you what he wants to do now that he's graduated? He's going to keep doing his thing. All right. He's got his job. He's going to keep saving money. He says his goal is to buy himself and his girlfriend a vehicle and move into a place. He is trying to be the provider. He's trying to be the man of the house. So, listen, I might not agree with the exact steps that he is taking in which to do that, but he did what I asked him to do. And he asked me to have faith in him, and how can I not? Now that he went and got his diploma, and moreover had to work his butt off to do it. That's right, he did it his way. So, he now that he has graduated, Killer, his next step is getting a car because he doesn't have one. He's walking or taking an Uber, which he says is expensive. Next thing he wants to do is get himself a cheap little car. He wants to find him and his girlfriend a place, and he's working a lot of overtime, and that's what he's doing. He is 18, Cookie, and up until this past week, I loved him, but I was so mad at him because he dropped out of school. He dropped out of school for several weeks. So Cookie says,
if you'll send me his address, or if you'll pass it along, I've got a book that I want to send him, and I bet you he'll read it.
I hope he does. Yeah, he's earning his stripes his way, and here's the thing. He's doing it his way. Bad Gamer, he, if this is what he wants to do, and if this is how he wants to provide, and he wants to be the man of the house at 18, Cookie, because it's him and his girlfriend have done this. They're living together now. And but they're living in her parents' home, and he wants to move them out. So it is early, Cookie, for him to take so much responsibility. But I'll tell you, he took the responsibility of school and he shouldered it and he completed it.
At this point, he has earned the respect of, I'm sure, his dad and all of us listening and everybody to say, "Okay, kid, what you got next?"
Yeah. He's earned a little bit of grace from me, buddy. You want to do it your way? You've shown me that you can. You do
That's
what
right.
you want, and you call me when you need something. All right. I'm so proud of him.
I told you everything was going to be okay when you told this story the first time 2 months ago.
Know.
See?
I
was right again.
I didn't believe it. Now, this was a momentous high for me. Thursday night, I stayed up there with him, and we had an amazing dinner. We went to the Texas Roadhouse. I spent way too much money. I invited him, and I invited friends, and I invited family. Oliver's mom was there. His bio mom was there. His stepdad and Oliver and all his brothers and a couple of his football friends that I have known to love. There was 12 or 13 of us at the Roadhouse, and we had a great time. I had a beer with dinner. Okay, that tells you how excited I was, how happy I was, how ready it was to celebrate. I had a Coors Light with my dinner. All right.
That's not a beer. I thought you said you had beer with dinner. That's river water. What?
So this is all Thursday night. Okay. This is all Thursday night. Friday morning, I get up early, 6 a.m. Because I had to work Friday. So I drive back and I'm at work on Friday.
Oh, and you were happy the whole 4-hour drive back.
Oh,
you
thrilled.
were like probably you had Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield on repeat.
I was thrilled to death. Thrilled to death. Had a great day. It was a beautiful day. Beautiful day. Went to work. I was thrilled to death. I showed up probably an hour late to work. Not the end of the world. I was probably about an hour late, but I had called and I told everybody. I was like, hey, listen, this is what happened, and Lana graduated and everything is great, and I'm coming to work. I'm not showing up. I'm coming to work. So I get to work Friday. I work. It's a good day. We're productive in the shop. And I go home. And I go home. And as
where nobody has been except for the dog?
Where nobody has been except for the dog. With one exception. I have a friend of mine who came up to feed and water Hazel, not only Thursday night, but again, Friday morning. Okay? And by the way, I have a security system here. I have a security system so I can see when she was here. I can see on the motion detectors. I can see.
Oh, it's a special friend. It's a she.
No, not a special friend. She is childhood friends with Oliver's mom. All right, she's always been a family friend, and I'm very close to her and her husband. And the fortunate thing is, like, through this, after we got through the initial time of like anger and all that stuff, we've all been able to move on with our lives. You know, look, Oliver's mom was at dinner with us, and she came to Layden's graduation. I wouldn't want her to miss that. You know, so. Anyway, we're a social unit. Anyway, I drive up my driveway on Friday, and I see something weird. I see something really weird sticking out of my garage. And I look, and I'm like, well, golly, I don't feel like that was that way when I left.
Sticking out of your garage where the studio is.
Yeah. By the way, my studio is in my garage. Okay, I'll throw this in.
Oh, yeah, I know that wall.
Yeah, you've seen that wall. Okay, so I'm looking and I'm like, okay, that's a little weird. What is that?
That's a lot weird. That's extremely weird.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good.
No, that is not good.
For those of you in the podcast audience, I've got screenshots here in the graphics room. But
we're looking at some melted siding on the roof.
What I see is the side of my garage and like the soffit, the vinyl soffit at the top, just hanging off like paper, hanging off the top of my roof like
wilted.
paper, and
it's wilted and black.
Yeah. It's weird. And so I'm like, wow, this is odd. This is a little scary. So I walk into my garage and I see this. I see this in my garage, which is completely black cinder block, charred rafters, the inside of the inside of the rafters and the roof and like the plywood and all that stuff's burnt to a crisp. I see piles of ashes. I'm freaking out. All right. And by the way, the pattern here is a little bit weird. I'm going to put all these pictures in the graphics room for you guys. So I walk closer and I'm looking and I'm like, this is a little weird. Like there was a fire. Like I'm not even pretending like I don't know. Like this was a fire. This is straight up like serious. There was a fire in my home while I was away. The timestamp is 4:56 p.m.
What was that pile of ash on the bottom there?
So there was a pile of boxes there. Okay, I had some boxes there, like just trash, just cardboard boxes, because I usually do burn those, like in the fire pit or in the wood stove. So I had some boxes there, but I also had, for example, this leaf blower that was there. Again, time 4:57 p.m. I had this leaf blower that was there. You can see here. Here was the plastic tube, the end of the leaf blower, and here was like the motor, the gasoline engine of the leaf blower. Yeah, that was there. Yeah, there was a couple of things there. This was right here. Yeah, this is a good one right here. This is a weed eater. Here's the other end of the weed eater. And the shaft of the weed eater was completely burned and melted off. This is like the drive shaft, like the coil or the spinny thing that was inside. Okay. This fire was hot. This is the weed eater, the base, like the motor of the weed eater. As a matter of fact, if you look down here, all right, this metal thing right here, this is the frame to a battery-powered four-wheeler that was Oliver's. Right here at the bottom of this frame right here, this was the lithium-ion battery that powered his four-wheeler. I say that because...
And was that battery being charged and plugged in at the time?
I'm not entirely sure. You know what? I'm going to go with yes. I'm gonna go with yes.
To make you go,
Yeah, I'm gonna go with yes. I do believe that was plugged up because see, the transformer that it was hooked to is completely melted inside the outlet. All right. Yeah, and see, there's more. There's more. This was the steering rack to his four-wheeler. See, completely melted off, completely gone. This was the steering box, steering axle right here, and these were like his front wheels right there. There was more. There was so much more. This is another weed eater, and more importantly, a case of Coke Zero. Okay, that existed up here. I was very, very upset about my case of Coke Zero.
Well, it looks like there's one still left there.
Yeah, there's one. There's one that's there that might still be able to be opened. So this was a disaster. My tractor was right there, although I was able to start it and run it yesterday, but here's my loader. The cinder block saved the house. I think there is no doubt about that. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But this was a serious fire. A serious fire. Okay.
It ran out of fuel at the perfect time because Studio B was about to be Studio G for gone.
Studio B was probably literally moments away from being lost. The weird thing are these patterns on the wall. Now, I want to point out in this photo here, okay, you see all this black here at the bottom of this picture. This is very gooey. Okay, it's very gooey. Like it's still sticky. to the touch. Okay? So I thought this was really, really weird. And I point that out because I'm gonna make an observation about that here in just a moment. It's gooey. And then when I look at the floor, like there's other areas of goo. Okay? Other areas of goo. For example, if you look down here, that's another area of goo. All right? There was lots of goo on the floor. And yesterday, when I was working on my house, I was trying to move the tractor out of the way. Now, the tractor was actually right over here to the right of the basketball hoop, all right, which is good. And if you go back and you look at the picture of the loader, it's weird. Like, you can almost see where the heat stopped. Like, this left side of the loader is completely destroyed. The hoses are completely melted. The piston is completely soldered together. Like it's shot. Okay? But here on the right side, the hoses are fine. And the piston is fine. We're talking a span of 4 feet here, which is very weird. Super weird. So then I'm starting to kind of wonder, like, what the hell happened here? All right? And I'm looking at these patterns on the wall, and I'm kind of thinking, okay, it would make sense that the heat was most intense here because it burned the soot off the wall. Not only that, but if you take a look at a couple of things, like, for example, like take a look at this. This was my 220 outlet, just completely, like, the conduit is melted away from the box. It's melted away from the box. And I also had, let me see if I can find a picture. This I'll show you in the other picture here in just a second. These are my hedge trimmers that were hanging directly above that box that were literally, the handles were burned off of it. The handles were burned off of it. This was incredibly hot fire. It was incredibly hot fire, but also incredibly localized, which is really weird. Here's a better picture of that loader where you can see literally only half of it burned. All right? This was so flippin' weird to me. So then
What's
I kind of...
that horizontal line halfway up?
This right here? This is where the insulation...
No. Halfway up, yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
The insulation has been burned out of my wall because there was a little ledge there. The insulation was burned out of my wall, so now there's daylight getting in. All right? And by the way, there's multiple spots throughout this burn. No, breaker box is fine. Breaker box is fine. Didn't start in the breaker box. Okay, that's why I think it started here. I think it started here where the battery
started there. It was
where the battery was plugged in.
AC adapter.
You got it, Vic. Yeah, you got it, Vic. My mortar is melted. I had a contractor come up yesterday, and he was like, dude, do you realize how expensive this is going to be? Throughout almost all of this brick and this whole rectangle, the mortar is completely melted out. Okay? When you walk in at certain angles, you can see daylight through where these cinder blocks are sitting on each other. You can see daylight through because the mortar melted out. This was an incredibly stupidly hot fire. A stupidly hot fire. And I presume that this is probably where it started. Now, Fisty, you're the expert. I am going to call my insurance. I'm sure they're going to send an inspector because I've got home insurance. All right, so I'm sure they're going to send somebody up. I haven't touched anything that's in the garage. So hopefully they'll come up and they'll take care of this. But this is going to be massive. My contractor told me that literally all of this mortar is going to have to be refilled. Otherwise, like, a good solid wind would knock this wind in. Or knock this wall in.
This is a detached structure, so I hope that you have the type of homeowners insurance that insures all the buildings on your property.
I do. So here's what I think happened. All right, this is my non-educated opinion. I think the fire started here into a lithium battery for Oliver's four-wheeler, and I think the four-wheeler, caught on fire, which was sitting right here, directly underneath the outlet. That was where his car was sitting. I think it caught on fire. And then, then I think when I went yesterday to work on my tractor and realized that I couldn't find any of my fuel cans. I am going to assume that there was a fuel can sitting right here. And I'm going to assume that there was another fuel can sitting right here. And I think everywhere where there is gooey, sticky crap on the floor was probably a fuel can. Because I had 4 fuel cans. And I can't find any of them. They're all gone. They're missing. And why wouldn't they be? Why wouldn't they be? Why wouldn't the fuel cans be with all of my lawn and garden equipment? My tractor was over here. My weed eaters were all over here. Everything was over here. My weed eaters, my chainsaw.
If only they made, or if only you could buy a special cabinet to put your fuel cans in the event of a fire that would prevent them from also catching fire.
Let me tell you something,
Boy, what
dude.
a great idea.
Okay, fine.
I'm going to go and patent that one.
Fine, okay? But I'm here to tell you, if it melted the weed eaters down to nothing, if it melted engines down to nothing, unless that thing is like solid steel, nothing was going to stop that fire.
Well, number one, it is solid steel. And number two, why do you think it got so hot, burnt so fast and long, and melted as hot as it did? Because
of the diesel. Yeah, I agree. I think it was the fuel. So yeah.
DJ, if that was diesel, am I coming in clear? First of all.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, so if that's diesel, then it didn't completely burn, and that's what you were looking at as the goo.
That's the goo.
If that.
Yeah, I guarantee it.
And
that was my goo, because here was my tractor. As a matter of fact, I think you can even see a part of maybe the left edge of the tractor right on the other side of the loader. The tractor was right here, and yeah, I'm sure my fuel cans were sitting along the wall where all my stuff is.
You know, maybe when we call Allstate, we don't mention the part about the fuel cans.
I don't know that there's a way that they're not going to know that. First of all, any investigator is going to be like, okay, that was, they're going to see the burn pattern. And besides, I don't think fuel cans in a garage where I keep my lawn equipment is against my homeowner's policy. And I swear to God, it better not be, because, this is a garage. I keep cars in here. Okay? If this is not covered, I'm going to be super pissed. All right? This is an outdoor garage with motor engines and motor vehicles and, yes, gasoline.
I will state that in my commercial structures, as you know, I managed 180,000 square foot buildings for consumer electronics retail. And we had a claim denied once for not having fuel in a proper container in our installation bay.
Yeah, but I'm not a commercial. I'm not a commercial business.
I understand, but maybe we just don't volunteer information that we're not asked. That's all.
Well, I'm not going to volunteer anything. I'm going to be like, hey, there was a fire in my garage and I lost a bunch of stuff.
There you go.
That's what I'm going to tell him. Okay.
Perfect.
But yeah, there was a fire in my house and I lost a bunch of stuff. Now, I didn't take pictures of this, but all the electrical is fried. None of the lights are working in there. No electrical is working here in the studio. I am running extension cords from the studio. Oh, Griffin, God, you look terrible. I am running.
What do you want me to do?
Nothing we can do. There's nothing. I'm running extension cords to my home. No extension cords, Neon. Then I have no electricity to my studio for what, 2, 3, 4 weeks? How long is it going to take me to get all this fixed? Yeah, this is going to be a while. All right, don't worry.
You're fine.
I'm using
just don't leave them plugged in.
I'm not going to leave them plugged in. I'm not going to leave them outside. All right, and they're big, like not little ones. They're 20 amps. They're big ones. All right. I'm not gonna edit the VOD. I'm not gonna edit the podcast because I haven't done anything wrong. I wasn't even home. By the way, here's the next good thing. All right, I don't know if this is like a good thing or not a good thing. I don't know, but I've got security logs. Check this. I can prove there was nobody home. I can, and here's what's weird. It didn't set off the motion detectors. Okay, I can prove there was nobody here. Not me, not anybody else. No one started it. And it didn't even trigger the motion detector, so it had to have been fast and gone. Well, and it was obviously indoor. I don't think anything ever showed outside. But yeah, here's Thursday night. So Thursday morning, I set the alarm when I left. All right. Thursday night, this is when said friend came over to let Hazel out and give her food and drink. That was Thursday night. And then Thursday morning or Friday morning, she returned at 7:15 a.m. And then nobody got home until I got home Friday at 6:36 p.m. So I don't know when it happened. It either happened Thursday night or Friday day. Don't know when it happened. Friends said that they didn't see anything, but they weren't going around and looking at the house. They didn't look, but they said, I don't think I saw that. So I think it happened
video
Friday.
Associated with those clips. Does it not save the video?
No, I don't pay for that. I just have the motion. I just have the motion part of it. I don't pay for the. It's kind of expensive, man. Home monitoring is expensive.
Yeah, you know.
Home monitoring is expensive. All right, so
yeah, I have 12 cameras set up around the compound in case any of you clowns decide to show up one day.
Yeah. No, I pay for event tracking. All right, it's event tracking, and no, it's not IR. It's just literally motion. It's just motion.
Well, remember, you weren't home, so you could only speculate what was or was not in the garage in the first place. And you certainly don't know whether or not any fuel caught on fire because you weren't there.
Yeah. No, I can't see nothing. Can't see nothing.
No,
it's just everything is melty and gone.
You know, I think we should have a moment of silence, DJ. Because it's without question that poor Mickey Mouse and his family were all incinerated in that horrible garage fire.
Yeah, I'm sure that they got toasty up. So, yeah, there you go. Now, here's the thing. Kevin says you better delete all your video tonight just in case. Why should I do? Are you guys serious? They're not going to come back.
No, there's no association between you and this video. Anyway.
Well, and not only that, but I really didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't here.
That's correct.
So
he wasn't there.
I wasn't even here. I've got plenty of actual GPS tracking information that says I was somewhere way far away. I was like 6 hours away. Either way, this was a week of highs and lows. I got home, and this is why I didn't stream Friday night, because I was like in shock and awe, and I was on the phone all night. Saturday, Saturday I was trying to clean up some of the stuff that had fallen into the yard on the outside. I didn't touch anything inside. But yes, I do have insurance. I tried to call them. They're gone for the weekend. I guess I'll have to call them on Tuesday.
What? You don't have an adjuster that will return your phone call? That's crazy.
It's a holiday weekend, man. I called
my companies work around the clock.
Well, I called my agent and it said, if it's an emergency, call our calling answering service, and I did.
Well, have you done that?
Yeah, I did. I left a message. Haven't gotten a call. So
well, there you go. Then you have fulfilled your obligations. All is well that ends well. The doggy did not.
The doggy's fine. The house is fine.
Toasted up in a fire. The house is fine. Your Monopoly collection that she did not ruin is still okay and intact, right?
Yeah. Everybody is safe. But I'll tell you, I am now. You guys are making me very, very concerned.
About what?
Is this not going to be covered?
I think you're fine. Again, admit nothing, state nothing. You don't know what happened. You weren't there. End of story. You don't know what was in the garage other than that nice four-wheeler that burned down. You know that for sure. You're certain that thing was plugged into the outlet, right?
I know it was plugged in. Oliver drives it all the time. He drives it all the time.
Exactly.
Because I'll be honest with you, guys, I'm figuring, like, with the labor involved in that mortar, this is probably... I mean, I don't know, Fisty. You probably know better than me. I'm figuring this is like $20,000, $30,000 worth of damage. I'm kind of freaking out now.
Did you also file a claim for your little water line problem earlier in the year?
What water line problem?
where all your water lines froze up and you had to have people dig them up and replace them?
No, I didn't file a claim for that. That wouldn't have been covered. I had to pay for that. I had to pay for that.
Well, there you go.
So
yeah, you're fine. You're fine. You're
Okay.
fine. It'll be covered. Everything's fine.
Okay. I can't afford that, guys. Holy crap. If that doesn't get covered, it ain't getting fixed.
Okay. Quit spiraling. Put the bunnies back in their cages.
Okay. Anyway, listen. That was why my last 72 hours was crazy. And I appreciate you guys putting up with it. I wanted to share everything with you. Good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to why are there 370 people here listening to this crazy story? Appreciate you guys all being here. MJ says, bro, that's really bad. No! Why? Why are you telling? Oh, anywho. I hope it's fine. We'll see. If someone charges that much, they need to be outed for being scammers. 10 grand tops. I hope you're right, man. I hope it is only 10 grand. All right, but I know I lost. No, it can't be 10 grand, dude. That loader. So I went down because I needed to buy some supplies for the tractor to like fix some stuff on it. I had probably $500 worth of damages to the tractor. That's simple. I fixed that. I paid for that. I lost the weed eaters. I went ahead and bought new weed eaters. I showed him, because he's also my service center for my tractor. I showed him the loader. He was like, it's totaled. He was like, you're going to have to buy new pistons, new hoses, all the stuff. He's like, the pistons themselves are probably $2 grand. He was like, you're just going to have to buy a new loader if you want it. He's like, that's going to cost you about $5 grand. I've got $7,500 in equipment damage, probably $8 grand in equipment damage. There's no way that and then the roof, the tin is going to have to be replaced. The soffit is going to have to be replaced, and the fascia is going to have to be replaced. And honestly, probably a couple of joists are going to need to be replaced. I don't even know if that's possible. I mean, without removing the roof, I don't even know if you can replace a joist. But there's 2 or 3 joists that are up there that are burnt to a crisp. The tin roof is melted, Broken Wolf. Yes, it's all wilty. All right, you can see
I thought the tin roof was rusted.
No, it's wilty. So, Killer J says 50 to 75. Okay, I don't think it's that much. I'm thinking probably 30 to 40, though. I think it's going to be bad.
Again, I'd like to point out UltimatDJz was never an actual DJ, because for any DJ not to catch that joke you lose your card.
What? What did you say?
Gone. Give me your DJ card.
I am distracted. I am distraught. My home caught on fire. Okay?
No, it didn't. Your barn caught on fire.
It's not my barn. No, listen.
It's only one wall of the garage.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. It's one wall of the garage. From where I'm sitting right now, it's literally 30 feet away from me. From where I'm sitting this second, it's 30 feet away. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the structural repair is going to be the scariest piece of that because of all the intense labor to go through and refill the mortar in the cracks. I mean, does that not feel like it's going to be a... That's right. I am now broadcasting from a location that might be prone to collapse. Just saying.
No, God.
All right. Anyway.
Clearly, this is all Landon's fault, because had he had not moved away, you would have been home and you would have seen this, and it never would have got that far.
Landon, God bless it. Oh, clearly.
DJ, you passed over the best advice in chat, and that is go get yourself an independent insurance adjuster, pay for it on your own dime to have them come in and inspect it and negotiate with your insurance company. My family experienced a fire in a rental place about 15 years ago, and it was the difference between 20 grand that they were going to give us, and we ended up getting like 50 to 80 grand, something like that, for what it actually cost to rebuild and stuff. And that was all because of getting an independent insurance adjuster.
Okay, I will totally do that. And, you know, Benny Hill, I thought about that, waited for the adjuster before I bought stuff. Yeah, but I can't wait a month to mow my grass.
No, you can save those receipts. You're fine.
Yeah, I saved the receipts. I've got pictures of everything. I took pictures of everything. Now, I haven't cleaned up the garage. I'm going to leave that. Yeah, and hey, listen, I mean, how many tens of thousands of dollars is it going to be to pressure wash all that cinder block? I'm just saying. All right.
DJ, they're not going to keep that cinder block. That if it melted the mortar, it has changed the composition of the cinder block enough to where it's not structurally sound.
How are they going to do that though? How do you literally take a section of cinder block out of a wall?
You brace up the joists, and then you start removing blocks very carefully, and you will remove a hole or a whole side, and then they will probably start at the bottom and build all the way back up.
That's fine.
Oh my God. That sounds stupid expensive.
You might have to build
That's a wall
in the meantime.
I'm going to have to move the studio. What about my electrical?
That's okay. Well,
expect to have like a team of people there for multiple weeks.
Oh my! I'm gonna vomit.
Yeah, almost as bad as trying to build a pergola.
way worse than building a pergola. Sorry.
Oh my God!
You would be surprised.
It only took them 5 days, Griffin?
So yeah, that wall is coming down. Oh my God, are you serious?
That wall's going to be replaced. A part of it will be replaced. Everything's fine.
Oh my God.
It'll be done by Christmas. Don't worry.
Jesus. Oh, anyway, guys. So I had a home fire. There you go.
You had a garage fire.
That apparently is going to cost about as much as my home to repair.
You had a self-inflicted garage fire too. This is nothing more than a commercial for those damn lockers that you keep your fuel in.
Do
in your
not
garage.
say this is self-inflicted. What the hell? I didn't do anything.
Put up a poll, and we'll see.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You almost made me cuss.
Yeah,
I am not. Are you actually blaming me right now? Are you blaming me?
I completely am blaming you. This is 1,000,000% your fault. This is a completely avoidable issue. Number one, never leave lithium-ion batteries. Don't you remember 7 or 8 years ago with all those stupid those hoverboards catching fire, burning down Christmas trees, burning down houses? Why? The lithium-ion batteries kept exploding on them. What do you think's in that little 4x4, pal? So you left it plugged in next to open sources of fuel. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 cans of gas.
Oh
immediately next to your 220 volt outlet / this self-incinerating fire device known as a 4x4 scooter. So I mean, where's the confusion here?
Oh my God!
Okay, now at this point, you guys.
We had putts. We had putts, and it was good for a few minutes, and now it's gone.
Oh, God damn it!
Now you have to delete the stream.
Oh my
Benny
God!
Hill's Ghost. I am completely prepared. Thank you, Fry's Electronics. I learned my lessons on fire preparation and how to properly stow your cargo. I'll tell you that right now.
Jaker's Gray says, I wouldn't even leave my electric toothbrush on charge if I leave the house. Okay.
That's exactly right. Exactly
All right.
So see, now everybody is feeling free to speak their mind. It's a good thing you didn't put up that poll because you would have lost 9-1. Guaranteed.
Oh my God. I am not. Do you guys seriously think I need to not air this show? Griffin.
No, you don't have anything tying yourself to.
Yeah, nobody knows what my real name is.
You're
it could be completely coincidental.
You're okay.
Just cut his little tirade about how it's entirely your fault.
Yeah, I would edit it. I would edit it, definitely. That's what I wanted to say is now you've made it to where you probably want to edit it.
I hate editing.
Oh yes, because I am a reputable professional with an expert opinion that can now suddenly my comments are what make this live stream questionable for your insurance feature. You guys have all lost your mind. Get collective lives, a lot of you. Okay, it's not what I just said. It's the story that's the problem here.
God bless.
Yeah, but you're not helping.
I'm not hiding anything. I literally did nothing wrong. I'm not editing out anything. I did nothing wrong.
Sherlock Griffin to the rescue.
It was an accident. No one was even home. It was an accident.
Except for the entire Mouse family that you murdered with your negligence.
All
So
right,
should we just move on to Star Trek Fleet
now
Command,
we're
or
in
do we need to have
parody.
another
Now
moment
it's
of
all
silence for
parody.
Mickey?
Guess what? Nothing ever happened, everybody. Ha ha! April Fools. Welcome in to Star Trek Fleet Command, Talking Trek's official podcast. Oh, God. All right, ladies and gents, appreciate you guys all being here. I genuinely, I'm not going to do anything. The show is the show. I share my real life, and sometimes I make up ridiculous stories, and you never know which is which. Welcome in, ladies and gents. It is the end of yet another arc, The Wrath of Khan. Overall, you could summarize this arc, Griffin, as being incredible. Yeah, Griffin's camera is still stupid. I don't know. I
It's
can't.
not my fault. You know what? I've got it's Twitch's fault. I've got 5,000 megabits per second up and 4,800 down. This is what happens. I am transmitting to a mountain in the middle of nowhere.
It's not my
That's
fault.
my image is being uploaded to you.
No, this is not my fault. Absolutely.
Okay.
Do not blame me. I'm gonna. You know what? Here, before we start, I'm gonna end you.
What does that mean? Now you're confessing murder? On top of it, wasn't arson enough?
I'm just ending your video, okay? And I am going to invite you back. We're just going to try to reinitialize and see if anything could possibly become better. Okay.
Ooh.
See, that's a little better.
He's not dreaming. Okay.
Actually, it looks a lot better. Look at that.
Oh.
It is you.
It's not me.
Okay. You know what? You're never allowed to speak in court now. I am. If we ever have a business venture that requires representation in court, you're not coming.
I don't know why. See, it's getting bad again. It's definitely you.
Okay, sure.
All right. Now listen.
It's okay.
Well,
thankfully, this is a audio podcast, and I sound great. So let's move on.
That's you do sound wonderful. Okay, appreciate that. Listen, a couple of things. I want to bring everybody up to speed on a couple of things. Today, Sunday, May 25th, or Monday if you're in an APAC region, there were 2 gift chests. Excuse me, 2 compensation chests that were just issued out. Okay, they were issued out today. I am going to tell you what those are both for, because one of them I feel definitely deserves an official communication. It has not come yet, and I don't know that it will because it is a holiday weekend, okay? But let me be clear that there was a compensation given today because Khan's Challenger meta ends today, and there was a Khan's Challenger SMS scheduled for tomorrow. Okay? Yes, I know both chests are already out. I'm talking to the podcast audience who might be listening later. Okay? These are already out. The first one contained 1,500 Khan's Challenger tokens, and it contained 100 points in the Khan's Challenger meta. Alpaca says, why did they schedule an SMS after the event ends? I am assuming that this was a clerical error. Okay. I don't have a solid answer, Alpaca. I'm sure it wasn't intentional, which is why they issued a compensation. Okay. But here's the confusion. The requirements on the meta did not change, meaning you still had to have perfect participation plus a top 25 in a solo leaderboard if you wanted 20,000 loot. Now, for the record, 20,000 loot was never anything that was promised by Scopely. Okay? It was what was design-wise made sense, right? Because that unlocked a chaos tech. 20,000 loot unlocked a chaos tech. Here's the thing, though. Okay? With the compensation that you now have, perfect SMS participation only pays 19,000 loot, which means, as we predicted from the very beginning, you had to still, that's right, we'll call it a stretch goal, Benny Hill. You had to still participate in a solo leaderboard to get at least a top 25, at least one single top 25 position. All right. You must have earned 15, or in this case, 1,000, but 1,500 loot from the Officer Depot Domination event. Now, again, with the compensation that came today, you will only need 1,000. Okay? You'll only need 1,000. Because with the compensation that came today, the SMSs constituted 19,000 points. Now, okay? Mm-hmm. And if you want that chaos tech, it's 20,000 points. Okay? Now, let me be clear. We broke down the stretch goal. We told you guys this is what it's going to take to get a chaos tech. Scopely never made a promise or guarantee of how much loot you were going to get. As a matter of fact, the meta only required 1,200 points, Griffin. And their official claim that the meta had grace period in it, that had grace events in it, is in fact accurate. As a matter of fact, a lot of people complained about the grindiness of a lot of these events. They also complained about the difficulty of the solo wave defense event. All right, and by the way, that one was admittedly difficult. All right, it was one that I'll have some critical feedback on because it wasn't a grinders event. All right, that one actually required some element of advanced account status. Okay. That being said, all of the other events were grindable regardless of level.
Timeout. I will return. I have lost power.
How are you still on?
Well, I got my computer on a battery backup, and
your internet's on battery backup too?
On our battery backup. Yeah, the fiber's on a battery backup, but we got a hailstorm outside.
Okay,
I'll be back.
Go check on that. Stay safe.
Yep, but thank you,
dude. Nature's pissed right now. I'm just saying, man. Nature is just Nature's not feeling it this week. Okay. So yeah. Anywho, this particular event. All right. The meta only required 1,200 points. Tons of flexibility. Tons of leeway in that thing. Okay. So Scopely promised that the Cons Challengers meta did not require you to do every single event, and that was accurate. For those of you who are fussy about, well, Scopely claimed that there would be grace period in the 20,000 points. That is not the case. This community was the one who calculated that 20,000 event store loot would be possible. And that 20,000 event store loot would be possible for you to unlock a chaos tech, be that Echo Papa, Q's Cannon, or I'm not showing the Godsend because I've already unlocked it. All right. Echo Papa, Q's Cannon, and Godsend. Now, if you were looking at which one you wanted to do, I'm not going to necessarily recommend Q's Cannon because it's in the Revenant Refinery. You can grind that one out. Echo Papa and the Godsend are paid-only pieces of chaos tech. There is no sourcing in the game for those. So I would probably recommend that you look at that. Another thing that you could look at would be half of one of these new epic skins. But the problem I've got with that is that it was only half. And Scopely has been unwilling to confirm a second run of this event. Now, do I think that a second run will occur? I hope so, but I am not willing to stake my reputation on it. And even if they do return it, I am sure that it's going to come with modifications. All right? At least I'm going to hope that it comes with a modification or two because I've requested a modification or two to some of these events. We don't know what a second run would look like if we even get a second run. This is one of my biggest beefs with this entire event. All right. And I'm curious how you guys feel about it. I am totally fine with them offering half skin unlocks in here. If we would have been confirmed that there would be a second run. Okay. If you confirmed that there was a second run, then these have value. If there is no confirmation on a second run, the only way to get the second half is to buy it in the cash store. Now, if you want to buy it, great. Your currency has value. You can still end up with the skin. If you're not going to buy it, then what's the point in a half unlock if we have no sourcing on these skins and no confirmation of a second run? Spending my currency on a half of unlock for something that may never come grindable for the second half, then what was my actual reward? You see? So personally, that's why I chose the Chaos Tech. All right, now they could show up in an end of arc event store. They could show up in another Cons Challenger event. Listen, there's a lot of ways that it could show up. But when? Where? How? How much? Now, housekeeping says, DJ, same thing. It would be just like spending on Chaos Tech if you didn't get the full 20,000. I agree. What if you don't have the full 20,000? Well, if you don't have the full 20,000, then maybe Q's Cannon is for you. Because when you get the Revenant, you can grind out the other pieces. Again, Q's Cannon has a grinder's path. If you and that grinder's path is locked behind the Revenant, which also has a grinder's path. Okay? Now, Cruzito, you say nickel and dime, and I don't necessarily disagree. I truly don't. But progress on an officer, I feel like, is a little different than, 80% of zero is still zero. You know, if there was a grinder's path, I would feel differently about it. Truthfully, if there was a grinder's path, then you know that there's something else. And for the record, I'm going to agree with Cruzito that almost everything in this game will eventually come with a grinder's path. But how long will it take, Cruzito? That's what we don't know. I am fully willing to admit that these skins and artifacts will eventually have a grinder's path. Totally get it. All right. I'm even willing to bet that they will eventually. But when? 6 months? A year? And honestly, these skins are going to be time limited for some people. All right. You might not be using this ship when the grinder's path finally shows up. You know? Cruzito says, don't you say the same thing about officers? Yes, and it used to be much more true than it is today. Officers used to be forever. Okay? Officers used to be forever. Now, they're not as much anymore, admittedly. But officers are still kind of forever. I'm still going to use Khan. I'm still going to use 5 of 11. I'm still going to use Gwen DeMarco. I might not still be using the Enterprise D. As a matter of fact, I'm not. I am not currently using the Enterprise D. I'm using other stuff. All right. So by the time that this other piece becomes available, I might be beyond the Enterprise D. RSDJ says, have you heard any rumors that we might one day be able to scrap the old augment ships? No. I have not heard rumor of that. Okay. Look at Brett saying, I'm still waiting on the second half of my Fisha Salvager skin that I got half of in Deep Space Nine in 2021. Okay. Mike says officers are still forever. You don't scrap them. That's fair. So, Cruzito, I'm not disagreeing with you. You're right. Nickel and dime, some shards. But again, these could be time sensitive. Right? These could be time sensitive. And honestly, the Chaos Tech, if you were going to go partial, the Chaos Tech is probably still more valuable than the skin because you will eventually retire a ship. Okay? So there is a difference. All right? And looking at without knowing, this is one of my biggest complaints though, Cruzito. I love educated decision making. If they told me that there would be a second store next month and that the other half would be grindable next month, I'd be thrilled to death. I'd give it a full endorsement. Half unlocks are fine, but what would happen? People probably wouldn't buy the second half. And I'm not saying that mean. I get it. It's a FOMO thing. All right? It's a FOMO thing, which is why I decided not to give into FOMO at all. I'm not going to do the skin at all. I'm not going to pay to unlock it. I'm not going to use my currency to half unlock it. I'm not going to give in to the skin at all. I'll take something that I can use tangibly here and now, which would be my chaos tech, which is why I ultimately decided to do what I did. All right? I ultimately decided to do what I did because it gives me a benefit here and now. So that's why I decided to go with the Chaos Tech. And Chaos Tech does probably have a longer lifespan than an Enterprise D, for example. All right? So anyway, that is what the comp was for. And to circle back on the announcement, there will not be the Tolra event on Monday. It's in the calendar. It is not coming. That was your comp today because the meta ends today. The Tolra Armada event tomorrow is not coming. So if you're looking at your loot today and you're trying to figure out what it takes to get to 20,000, you need to figure it out as if what you see in the game right now is all that's coming. There is no more events coming. The Tolra event in the schedule is canceled. Also, another comp chest came out with 4,000 Officer Depot tokens to help you in the Cons Challengers Domination SLB, if you guys would like that. 4,000 tokens came in there, plus 2,500 Battle Pass points because, and by the way, I am not fussy about this. Thank you for already fixing it, Scopes. What had happened? What had happened was, what do you guys normally get as the final day? What is normally the Sunday Battle Pass event at the very end of an arc? Does anybody remember? Because it's very consistent. No, not the weekly event. I'm talking about your Battle Pass event. Your Battle Pass event is always domination. That's right. It's always domination, and it's always 20,000 points. Now, this month, they did put a little bit more priority on away teams, and that obviously makes sense. But if you look at the away teams event, it's only 17,500. All right, 17,500. Paulo, you sweet summer child. It got fixed fast thanks to VIP. VIP is the only ones who work on Sunday. I talked to Live Ops today. I talked to them today. They talked back to me too. That's how I told you. That's how I found out that Tolra is not coming tomorrow. All right. Anyway, no, domination is not broke. It still works fine. You're referring to the power gained event in the ticketed events. Domination works fine. It's the power gained event. So anyway, they did a little bit more of a shuffling, a little bit more of a prioritization on away teams this month, which obviously makes sense. I am not fussing about that. I'm not even fussing that the points were short, okay? It is what it is. The comp came literally within like 2 hours. All they did was grant an extra 2,500 Battle Pass points, and perfect. Voila. Magic. Everybody is whole. All that involved was hitting your overflow. You still would have been required to complete 100% of Battle Pass events to complete the overflow, which is normal. So if you've missed a Battle Pass event, then this doesn't even apply to you. You did get the comp, so you got 2,500 points. Maybe it would have helped you get to another milestone of something somewhere, all right? But the bottom line is today, 2,500 Battle Pass points were issued to make up for the 2,500 that were short in today's domination, or what should have been today's domination. It was a 17,500 ATA instead of a 20,000 domination, and they gave you the 2,500 points. All right. K Knowledge says we haven't seen the Battle Pass power gain events in a while. Yep, we actually just had one like a couple of days ago. Remember, power gained is different than domination. Domination is officer XP and ship XP. Power gained has never been in the Battle Pass. It goes in tickets. Okay? It goes in tickets. And that one has been removed. They replaced it with a mining event. Actually, a Gorn event or something. I don't remember. But yeah, you don't have the power gain ticketed event right now, and the domination in Battle Pass has still been around. So that was your second gift chest today to just simply make up for today's 2,500 point shortage, and you now have the ability to get to the full Battle Pass overflow. Those were today's comps. The biggest reason for that announcement, guys, was just simply because I wanted to make sure that everybody was fully aware that there would not be Tolra's event tomorrow. Do not count on that for the purposes of your Cons Challenger meta and or event store currency. Okie doke. There you go. Daverick says, I'm 10 short for getting a Chaos Tech. Is there a place in the store to get more event loot? I don't know that they're actually selling it, to be honest with you. But what you do have, actually, you know what? Indirectly, yes. Indirectly, yes, because you do have Officer Depot Domination, so you can buy a pack with Officer Depot tokens and then spend the Officer Depot tokens to place in this solo leaderboard. So, yes, indirectly, the answer is yes. You can't just buy the Cons Challenger tokens, but you can buy the Officer Depot tokens so that you can place well in the solo leaderboard and get your currency. All right, and those are for sale. And you'll get Officer Shards to go with it. So, 2 for 1 bonus. All right, 2 for 1 bonus.
There.
How you doing, Matters?
No, I'm sorry. You're right.
Of course I am.
I'm great. How are you?
Of course I'm right. I'm always right. Thanks for stating the obvious. K92 says, or you could just outright buy the Chaos Tech. But why? Why would I just outright buy the Chaos Tech? Then I'm stuck with 19,000 loot to do what with? All right. Listen, I'm not gonna necessarily say you should spend loot to get the Chaos Tech, but if you do, you're gonna get a bunch of Officer Shards, and the Chaos Tech just kind of comes as a bonus. All right, so I'm not. It's definitely not going to be cheaper. Listen, you guys remember, he already has 19,000 currency. He's missing 1,000 currency. All right, if he's going to spend a pack, you might as well do the officers, get a bunch of officers out of that pack, and then just use that placement to get the complimentary or included Chaos Tech. Andy says you still need to place in the solo leaderboard. Yeah, but I mean, if you spend that many officer currency tokens, you're going to place. All right, I can tell you not that many people are not going to place.
You could get like the $20 pack and place in top 25.
You just need a top 25. That's all you need. But look, I spent all of my loot. I had 168,000 Officer Depot tokens today. I'm in second place. That pack, how many tokens does that pack have in it? 200,000? Or is it 120,000? I don't remember how many it has, but I mean,
which one?
The pack for Officer Depot tokens.
The special?
Sure.
160,000.
160,000. How much is in the $20 pack?
There actually isn't a $20 one. But
I didn't think so.
One, there's 48,000.
I didn't think so. All right, so $50 one has 48,000, and then 160,000 in the 100. I mean, listen, you're going to place.
We've got too many currencies that all have very similar looking designs, so I'm getting confused about what's in what pack.
Well, be sure of your confidence before you tell me I'm wrong. How's that?
I didn't. I stopped myself and I told you were right.
No, you told me there was a $20 pack. Got you there.
Okay. if there was a $20 pack, that would be enough to get the top 25. Some people don't even need to buy a pack to get top 25.
That's true. I didn't buy a pack at all. I'm ranked number 2, but that's because I've been saving my currency. I
must have beat one because I got more than 2,000.
Yeah, hey, good idea, Peter. Peter just had a good idea. Maybe you haven't spent the $15 on your Officer Cash premium unlock yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea, Peter.
See?
Very good idea. Yeah, there's your $20 pack. Brilliant. Very good idea, my friend. All right. That would actually be a very, very wise idea. If you haven't bought that premium cash, do the premium cash. That's going to get you a bunch of those tokens, and then you do that. And that'll get you a good placement on that leaderboard. Remember, all you got to do is top 25. Top 25 pays 1,500.
A bunch of those polls.
Yeah, you could have. Kevin says I had 160 already in my bank. I'm in third place. That could also be. You might not have to buy a pack at all. I'm just saying, all you need is a top 25 finish. That'll give you 1,500 currency, and then that'll be enough to finish your Chaos Tech. Okay? Now, there was something that I wanted to discuss, and actually, I'm glad that Matters is here on the stage now. Putz is here. Daystros is here. And before we get to the teaching segment, I want to analyze Khan's Challenger meta, okay? Because what does that mean?
I said, okay. I'm like getting myself ready to analyze it.
Well, I actually really, really like it. I really
did
like
too.
it.
I thought it was great.
This was a
I thought
phenomenal
all these
event design.
events were fantastic.
This was a really good event design. I say that there was one of them that I think needs a look.
No, there wasn't.
I
That
think
solo one was not hard. That hard.
it wasn't
I
hard
didn't
for
think I had any
you.
of those officers max. I
Listen.
didn't have any of those officers.
Oh my
maxed.
God. You never
Go
listen.
ahead. It wasn't hard for me.
Yeah, it wasn't hard for you, you whale. All right, now take yourself down to Ops 45.
Okay.
Okay? You got to remember all the perspectives in this game. Take yourself
What
down
was
to
the
Ops
targeting for that event?
45 plus.
Was it 45 plus?
Yeah.
Oof.
44
Wow,
down
okay, yeah, so
had an
45
alternative
should be
event.
hard.
I would actually argue that 45 through 50 had a really rough time. Okay? Because
They're hitting 40s.
well, yeah, not only that, but the 50s are ops locked. Okay? They couldn't have even gotten in. So, moreover, they couldn't get into it, but just the nature of the G4 ones, there's less hostiles and less waves. Okay? Now, by the way, G3, no, Vic, G3 is fine. G3 had a sub-event, and low G4 had a sub-event. They're fine. 45 through 50 was the challenging spot. All right? Because you were literally dealing with a lower number of hostiles. Late G5, G6, you guys are fine. G5 and G6, I wasn't worried about it. I did not have, and here's, by the way, the event design itself was not terrible. The event design itself was not terrible, but the officer selection was certainly challenging because very few people have those max, so you weren't getting bonus points, right? And I am not opposed to the solo wave defense mechanic as it stood, but people couldn't get enough points, and it ended up being the only one, Matters, that people couldn't just go out and put the effort in to grind. Like today, I was getting 42 points per or 44 points per hostile. Somebody else is getting 11. They're going to have to kill 4 times as many hostiles. That's 200 hostiles they're going to have to kill to do the event. But guess what? They can. Okay? Yeah. They can. With solo waves, you're limited by the number of starts. Okay? And inside one wave, you're also limited in the number of hostiles you get. G4s only have 3 waves.
Yeah, 3 waves.
3 waves, that's it. So, and if you're doing non-elites, which I would have recommended if you're on the lower end of that ops, then you only had the option of 18 hostiles. And that, by the way, is assuming you could do them all with one ship, which is also unlikely because there is a timer, essentially, the timer of impulse on those. So you probably couldn't do them all with one ship. You could have done the majority of them with a junker, which is paid still to this point. Okay? You could have done the majority of them with the junker. But even if you had to use another ship, the best you could have hoped for was like a 60-40 split or maybe a 70-30. The best you could have hoped for was a 70-30 split on those hostiles because of the time involved. Squad says you had to spread the officers across all 3 ships, and I know that some people were doing that, but that also is a little bit tricky because instead of just messing up one ship, you're messing up multiple ships. Okay? But the big
if you split the officers, then you would have been getting 1/3 of the points per hostile. As long as you have one ship that can kill more than 2 per wave.
Yes, you're
because
right.
There's 6 per wave. Any one ship that kills more than 2 per wave, you're better off putting all those officers on that ship.
You are mathematically better to put all the officers on one ship and just kill as many hostiles as you could with that one ship. All right? Yeah. But it was that was a challenge, all because absolutely the starts were the problem. So they came out and they gave us 3 extra starts, which I appreciate. I was advocating for that. I appreciated the 3 extra starts. I think it was absolutely fantastic that they did that. All right. because those starts have a value beyond just this particular event because, hey, that loop is valuable, right? Extra starts, that means extra currency and extra stuff. That's a good one, okay? Now, Cruzito, you say the same thing that Scopely said. Well, this event was meant to be challenging. I get it. I totally get it. But the design of your event store also kind of comes around 20,000 loot. Now, again, I'm not saying this whole thing was beautiful to me. The whole Cons Challenger meta, I'm going to call it probably an A- series of events. Beautiful. Perfect. Slightly less than perfect. It was a wonderfully designed event series. All right? I loved it. The only one that I would make a tweak on, and it would be ops targeted, the only one that I would have made a tweak on would have been 45 through 50. Cruzito, sub 45 did have different events, but I would have probably made it sub 50. You had to give them a little bit of buffer there because an ops 45 who can only do the G4 ones that are limited to the number of hostiles and the number of starts, and the officers that they used were relatively new, so they might have been harder to get for some other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it relied on Quasi and Section 31 Georgia, which, by the way, has sourcing. I'm not complaining, okay? I'm not. Those all have sourcing, DTI, and they're sourcing for those officers. But it's been so new that I don't know that an Ops 45 would have unlocked Quasi by now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that this event was so near perfect. The only one that I would tweak on would be the solo wave defense one. And I wouldn't scrap it. I would just tweak it. You know?
Just give him half the milestones.
I don't think you would have. You know what? Honestly,
45 to 50.
I don't even think you would have needed to half the milestones if you had changed the officers up a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would have been the other option. Give it a couple older officers that people have a better chance to have max. Like any one of those officers max is at least 10 points versus 5 or less.
Count DeVille
right?
says you could have added regular waves or mirror waves to it. Maybe they could have cost less points, but that would have definitely made it grindier because there are definitely more of those directives out there. So that would have been another one. If you wanted to follow the pattern of making it grindy like all the other ones, then add the original waves in there too. That would have been fine. Yeah. I would have been totally fine with that. You know? That's why I'm saying this event was near perfect. I am very, very happy with how this event turned out. Extremely happy with how this event turned out. Okay? But not necessarily an A++. I think there was one modification there on the Solo Wave Defense Day. Other than that, that is literally it. And so therein lies one of the pieces that I wanted to talk about today, all right, was Cons Challenger. I know that this event, that this month had challenges, even from Live Ops. Live Ops made mistakes this month. I'm not denying that. But this specific series was really, really good. And I'm curious how the players are responding to it. Matters, let's come to you first. The entire event was grindable. By the way, stupidly grindy. And I know that players who don't like grind, like myself typically, are going to say, well, it was too much. All right. But on the other hand, the meta had a ton of grace period in it. And if you look at the quote unquote player invented overflow event of the 20,000 loot, I mean, that was a stretch goal, right? That was a stretch goal. And it allowed the unlock of a full $100 chaos tech. You know?
Yeah.
So is that a bad thing?
No.
I'm curious. Matters,
no,
take a look at the whole thing. Just go through the whole thing. When you're looking at this event design, which was obviously extremely grindy, okay, and that it was a grindy event, is the amount of grind that was requested by Scopely worthy of what they made available as a reward? First of all, you look at your meta. Had some Josham shards, which is fine. Okay, that's all fine and good and dandy. The the officer shards with the depot tokens. You could have gotten some other rewards potentially with it, but it was super grindy, admittedly, with the meta having a ton of flexibility, but the stretch goal, and by the way, I point out, the stretch goal was found out by our community, that 20,000 loot, all right, that it took to get a full Chaos Tech. Was this a decent enough style of event build that allowed for players to finish the meta, earn some rewards with relatively simple engagement, and the skipping of some of the harder events, and then for perfection, awarding you a $100 pack? Matters, break it down.
Absolutely, it was. I mean, we know that like if they're going to reward $100 or the equivalent of $100 pack, the feature item in $100 pack, it's going to be grindy or it's going to be super spendy, and it was grindy for a lot of people. Some people lucked out; they just happened to have the right officers that were maxed or whatever, and they did do on most days a really good job of blending in a few older officers. On the events, they had most days there was one that was like in the transporter patterns store that somebody could have, if they had the transporter patterns, could have pushed that officer up, either to get the unlock or to max them out if they were close and had the patterns for it. I think it was a very, very well designed event, and other than, as you mentioned, that one kind of ops bracket that would have been super grindy. Other than that, yeah, absolutely, it was a great event, well worth it for $100 worth of event store loot, basically.
Alpaca points out in the chat, Matters, and I'd be curious to think your response on this. I would say Scopely not telling the stretch goal and having the audience find it means that they didn't plan it that way. Now, here's why I'm going to disagree with you. All right. And by the way, I'm not going to say with 100% confidence that that's wrong. All right. But here's why I'm going to disagree, because the stretch goal did involve a leaderboard. Okay. The stretch goal was perfect SMS participation and one top 25 finish in one of the 3 available solo leaderboards. Okay. The stretch goal was not based in the solo milestone. You could not finish the meta and all solo milestones and still get a Chaos Tech. You had to do one top 25 finish in a solo leaderboard. The reason, therefore, that I am a little bit leaning away from it not being planned, I lean away from that position just a little bit, is simply because of that, because there was still that one SLB that was required, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? And I'm okay with that. I'm totally fine with that style of build because the meta was completable. And by the way, we say it was one top 25 finish, but a top 10 finish could have actually bought you a break from one of the SMSs. Mm-hmm. You see, there was a little bit of flexibility in this design in such that if you did better in a solo leaderboard, then it bought you flexibility with the solo milestones, which admittedly were grindy, right? So, yeah, Cruzito said it was a puzzle. They expect us to kind of figure it out. If they give us the answer, it ruins things. And I'm not always, Cruzito, but I do love a puzzle. I'm going to agree with you on this one. That's why I think this event design was so daggone good, because there was more than one way to cross the finish line. And it was up to you to figure it out. And if you did cross the finish line, and by the way, there were 2 finish lines, okay? The first one was just finishing the meta, which was arguably much easier. And it gave you some decent rewards, okay? Nothing crazy, nothing terrible, certainly worth the time and effort, okay? But man, that stretch goal, that I had my eye on that all month long, guys. A free, non-sourced, paid-only Chaos Tech. And I'm here to tell you, if you like PvP, Echo Papa is probably the way to go. Okay? But we were talking about this earlier on Twitch during when we were just kind of hanging out. PvE is core to everybody's progression in this game. Even the PvPers. PvP does not progress us. Okay? PvP is a fun element for some people. It does nothing for your progression in this game. PvE is the key to progression. And I'm here to tell you, the Godsend is going to be helpful in your augment grind. It's going to be helpful in elite solo waves. All right? I'm not necessarily saying that you should go for the Godsend. Go for whatever you want. All right? But wow, what a choice that you've got. Because guess what? Neither the Godsend nor Echo Papa are available anywhere else in the game. They are sourceable for free with this event and nowhere else. It is paid-only content that you could have ground out, you could have pushed to the max, and that you could have earned this month for an extraordinary effort. And I agree, it was an extraordinary effort. Go ahead, Putz.
I would posit that this, meta that we did, if you combine that with the officer shards that you were allowed to choose from all of that, scoring in the leaderboard, it might be more valuable than unlocking Khan. It may be more valuable game-wise than just about almost any meta we've had in the game.
Yeah, look at what the meta actually paid, Putz. Thank you for pointing out. Now, we're talking about the Chaos Tech, but what did you get for finishing the first finish line? 100,000 Officer Depot tokens. Well, what did 100,000 Officer Depot tokens buy you? 100
for me.
Yeah, what did it buy for you?
2 tiers on Garrett and counting.
It's huge. That's huge. It would have paid a total of 25 epic shards or 75 rare shards or some combination therein. 25 epic, 75 rare, or some combination therein. Wow. That in and of itself as a meta is a damn strong reward. Listen, we know what Scopely values 25 epic shards at. It's about $100. You know what I'm saying? they charge about $100 for that. Traditionally speaking, the value of an epic officer unlocks $400. All right, so 25 officer shards. And by the way, I think a lot of people probably went with the rares. Okay? Because there was a lot of good rares in here. 75 rare shards is like multiple tiers. And let's talk about who all was available. In your first bucket, you had Mirror Universe and Strange New Worlds. Okay? Out of here, you know who I love? I love Chapel, if you don't have her done. Mirror Universe Data, very good if you like a little bit of PvP. Okay? That's great. I like those. Those are probably the two that I would look for out of here. Maybe your Mirror Universe Picard if you're into PvP. Maybe. Okay? Section 31 and Voyager. No brainer. Section 31 Giorgio and Rachel Garrett. These two. And by the way, even Suitor has some use. Anorax is in here. Anorax, wildly valuable on the unlock. Wildly valuable on the unlock. How cool was it that these officers were even made available? Let's go to Symbiosis and Galaxy Quest. Beer is in here. Alexander Dane is in here. Gwen DeMarco is in here. I personally got a tier on Gwen DeMarco. Awesome. Retaliation Crew. Okay. Hey, at least it was an option. All right. I don't know that anybody should have, but at least it was an option. TNG and other. Let's see who we got in here. We got Pike. Okay. Deanna Troy. That's the original one, isn't it? Hey, who hasn't maxed out their Wesley Crusher? Hey, how about you brand new players out there? Grace Chen is in here. Marlena Moreau is in here. And Pike is in here. The original hostile grinding trio. The perfect hostile grinding trifecta for somebody under Ops 50. Mimi says, you laugh, DJ, but you spent 400,000 event store loot on French Marshal Q. Yeah, I did, because of his below deck ability. I'm just saying he's not better than anything else in this store. Okay? Enterprise E Cruise. Listen, Enterprise E Troy is great. Enterprise E Data, phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Enterprise E Picard, pretty cool. Enterprise E Riker, good officer. Voyager and Pick. Oh my gosh, who doesn't have their BLT, their Neelix, or their Tom Paris, or their Ensign Kim maxed yet? Because, by God, do it. Must have maxed officers. Tom Paris, Belana Torres, Neelix, and Harry Kim.
Yep. You know, there was one thing that I was disappointed about, and that is this isn't the model for normal event stores.
Oh, I know. This was so phenomenally good. So phenomenally good. Unimatrix 12 and DS9. Listen, we don't have good sourcing on Jedzia Dax. Still to this day. We don't have great sourcing on Kira. All right, still to this day. Julian Bashir, still not maxed for me. Okay? These
Odo's
are...
in there too.
Huh?
Odo's in there too.
Odo is in here too. He does not have good sourcing. Okay? Not maxed for me. All right, now, again, this is... And by the way, no limit on any of these bundles. You could go all in on anything you wanted. I mean, guys, we're talking about how many. Has anybody actually counted how many officers are in here? Here, let's do the math. Let's do the math. I want to do it right now because I've got enough currency. I can see all the pips. Okay? 13, 14, 20, 10, 15, 9, 8, 5.
13.
Guys.
Which one has
13? Did I Oh, see,
well,
now, God bless it.
Including doubles.
All right, now I got to start over.
You might be getting double pulls for some of the rares.
8, 9, 15. Why would I get? There's not double pulls in here.
No,
plus
those
20.
pips definitely look like single officer counts.
Huh? The pips what?
They look like single officer counts for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly what they are. These pips, guys. There was 111 officers. You know what matters? Go ahead and count them all. Maybe your pips aren't right, but go ahead and count them. Now, have you spent all your loot? Maybe you. Maybe
Actually,
have you?
You know what? You're right.
I am right.
Oh man.
Oh man.
You're being right too much.
I am being right a lot today. Okay, I've been prepping.
You are.
Okay, guys. There's 111. Think about this for a second. 111 officer bundles available at unlimited pull, no cooldown, no cap. 111 where you can pull all of your currency where you want it in the quantity you want with no cooldown and no cap.
That's a lot of officers.
This event series might be the absolute effing best that Scopely has ever launched. And I don't mean just...
They did say it was going to go catch up.
I don't mean just in the design, just in the events. Listen, some of the events had some structural problems. There was some scoring problems on one day. We had a Changeling Kira on one day, and we had Kira Nerys on another one, and we had something wrong with Chapel one day and the Doctor. I mean, we had a couple of issues. There was something wrong with Troy. We had the wrong Troy in there. All right, I get it. There were a few issues. But the broad design, holy crap. The broad design was really daggone good. Buddy, give me this every month. Give me this every month. It matters. You hit the nail on the head just a second ago when you said they came in and claimed that this month was going to be a way to allow players a catch-up mechanism. And by the way, I'm going to point out to you, I'm pretty sure even the VIPs, even the whales, found value in some of this stuff. Even out of those 111 officers, even the whales didn't have them all maxed. All right. Retrieving says, I don't know, DJ, about absolute best ever, but definitely on the Mount Rushmore of events, along with the Bajoran store, the Solar Wave Defense store, just off the top of my head. And but those are more broader features, loops. The strange, the Solar Wave Defense store, that's a loop, man. That's not an event, so to speak. We're talking an event series, a limited time, in this case, a 20-day event run series that we may or may not get again. And I hope that we do get it again, but we may not. It was highly rewarding. Tons of player choice. Completely free to play. And offered progressive amounts of rewards depending on how involved you were. Everybody could have easily skipped the Solar Wave Defense and still finished the meta, which was very rewarding in and of itself. But if you wanted to be boss mode, and push yourself to the absolute max, and were able to do the Solar Wave Defense event, because that one was admittedly tough for some people. If you could do that, and by the way, even if you couldn't, you could have placed in the solo leaderboard enough points to make up the delta and win a $100 Chaos Tech. Beautiful design. Housekeeping says, gosh, so many choices, I want them all. But do you think, DJ, they did this to hide the ARC problems? No. All right, think about it logically, Housekeeping. This event was designed when the ARC launched. And don't pretend that this event didn't have a couple problems of its own. They didn't end up being disastrous, but there were some point scoring problems. There was some officer mix-up. There was a couple of issues. Remember, there was a couple of days where certain officers weren't scoring, and then there was that one day where certain hostiles weren't scoring. There were some minor problems with this, okay, logistically. All right, but no, I don't think this was to hide the ARC problems, because it was built before the ARC launched. Like, this was built to make the ARC better. The ARC ended up having lots of problems, but no, they didn't design and throw this thing out to win sentiment back. It was already built. So I can understand why it might look like that, Housekeeping, but we've got to be careful. We've got to think about this logically and scientifically. No, this event was built. All right? They did suffer some major engineering and technical problems. They did. They suffered badly. With engineering and technical this month. But as I have said so many times, what if they fired on all 8 cylinders? This event series would have been so good. Imagine if they didn't have the tech problems and they didn't have a lot of the engineering problems, and fine, you have a couple of live ops events that don't score right. We've had that a lot. Okay, that's happened for a long time. Imagine if we didn't have the massive failures we did at the beginning of the month and we still got this event series. How great we would be talking about it. Loston says I found so many good things this arc. I forgave all the misses. I'm being relatively forgiving too, and people are going to say that that's a shilly position, but the design of this arc, guys, the design of this arc is probably the best we've ever seen. Look at the feature. Fleet Commander Khan, completely grindable. How many of you guys, all right, I'm going to throw this up on screen, and I'm going to try to read out some names for the podcast audience. One's in chat if you unlocked Fleet Commander Khan free to play this month. Jeff, Ken, Retrieving, Packet, Andy, Haldir, KJ, Mimi, Slaver, Salivar, Darksider, Maxenheimer, Savage Darkness, Shadows of Blue, Maestro, Denver, Mossy, Colleen, Hal, Worf, Doug, Reaction, Shelby. And the list goes on. Neon says, wait, no, Hal, you could have. No time gates, Neon. all you had to do to unlock Con free to play this month was to grind out 60 million rep. And by the way, that was a huge undertaking. All right? That was a massive undertaking. 60 million rep? Good God almighty, what a grind. But guess what? It was possible. And for those of you who say, okay, look right here. Oh, hi says, I gave up on it. Don't give up on it. You don't need to sit there and grind it a gazillion rep a day. Okay, you don't have to do that. But guess what? You can grind it at your own pace. You can grind it at your own pace. If you want to do 1 million rep today, you can. If you want to do 100,000 rep today, you can. You want to do 2 million rep today, you can. You want to do 5 million rep today, you can. And guess what? When you hit 60 million, you get Con. It is completely up to you. You know the pot of gold that sits at the end of the rainbow. You determine how long it's going to take you to get there based on your effort, based on the time you want to give it, based on the priority that you give to it. Sugar Fat Man, brilliant. I'm so glad that you said that. He says, listen, I'm under Ops 40, so Con is going to be very, very hard for me. Guess what? I aimed a little lower. I aimed for 10 million so I could get my free dry dock. Mission accomplished. Imagine. Sugar Fat Man, I am so proud of you. I am so freaking proud of you, dude. Imagine how great it would be for free to play under Ops 40 to look at this seemingly insurmountable 60 million rep and have the wisdom and calm, cool, and collectedness, like Sugar Fat Man said, to have, hey, listen, that is going to be for me one day. Right now, the mountain looks a little bit too tall, but you know what? I am going to circle around, and I'm going to pick up something that has been the sourcing bane of my existence my entire time in this game. I'm going to pick up a free dry dock. Congratulations to you, man. Congratulations to you. Incredibly brilliant and analytically intelligent of you to do what you did. Grouchy Outlaw says, are you saying once the arc is over, Fleet Commander Con is going to be gone from the Augment Store? Hell no. That's there. Do it at your own speed. If it takes you 3 months, if it takes you 6 months, if it takes you a year, if it takes you 3 days, right, Shelby? You can do it. And then, by the way, it's not just unlocking Con. Now it's tiering him up using the skill points. Guess what? Those are grindable too. Those are grindable too. You can grind those skill points as much, as fast, or how little you want. And then there's Zoshim. You can max him with grind. You can max him with grind. How wonderful is that? And then what else? What else is in this store that you can max with grind? The Quantum Slipstream, which is time-gated, but is available. The Glavin Artifact. 60% isolytic boost to all ships. And by the way, that's PvE or PvP. 60% isolytic. The Glavin is a beast.
Yeah.
And by the way, even after that, you have unlimited, no time gate sourcing on Anorax, DeMarco, Janeway, Borg Hugh, and Suitor. This arc is a completely play at your own pace, earn rewards at your pace arc. You can knock it out super quick. You can take your time on it. The bottom line is it is there for you. And by the way, the most beautiful, perfect kind of monetization, the kind of monetization that I will never, ever be pissed about, is the one that Canine Tooth just points out. I am so happy for others that this was grindable. It was too much for me. I just paid $100 for him. And that is beautiful. That is the perfect style of monetization. An ultimate grind. Freely accessible. Available to all. Or you pay to skip the grind. The design of this arc is just freaking, God, I don't want to use the word perfect, but God, it's so close, Matters. It is so damn close. Paulo says the same thing. It's too much for me. I just paid $100. Cool. Great. I Kill You says, I'm going to use a slightly different method. I paid for Khan. I'm going to grind out his skills. KJ says, I want this model every single month. Burt says, I wish I would have realized it was grindable before I bought it, but since I already had it, I bought it, decided not to grind it. Okay, cool. Guess what? There's a bunch of other stuff in here for you to grind. The grind never ends. There's a lot. It's not just Khan. It's then the skill points. Then it's Joshim. And then it's Anorax and DeMarco and Janeway and Hugh and Suitor. We can make a song. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. There's so much to earn in this store. This is a beautiful freaking store. Man, if engineering and tech could have just held it together, man. You're looking at the arc of the year right here. By the way, an arc design totally worthy of Wrath of Khan. I remember when TNG came out, and we were a little bit disappointed with that arc. You remember, we just didn't feel like it wasn't worthy of TNG. By God, this design was worthy of Wrath of Khan. This event, this arc design was worthy. Tiger did a phenomenal job, and we haven't even seen everything yet. We haven't even seen it all yet. We're talking about how great this arc is, and we're talking part 1, guys. That's right. We're talking part 1. Okay? Man, cool stuff. Let's hope they don't drop the ball next month. Yeah, I hope so, too. I hope you're right.
Tiger never drops the ball in month 2.
Yeah,
month 2
that's usually accurate.
Real nice.
But we need engineering and live ops to stay on top of it, too. Okay?
Well,
we need engineering and live ops to stay on it, too. All right? I want to see the Cons Challenger series come back. All right? I want to see that. I want to see. There's a lot of stuff from this arc I want to see repeated. I want to see grinders methods for all. You want to buy it? Fine. Skip the grind. But I want this. I want this. This has been a phenomenal piece. And I kind of come back. I circled around to Cons Challengers. All right? What a beautiful meta design. And I get it. Not everybody could hit the final stretch goal because of your targeting, because of your ops. And while I totally understand that, and I realize that, I will kind of fall back. Cruzito's heard me say this before. There's always going to be a weak spot in the chain link. There's always going to be that one spot that is a little bit disadvantaged because of where you are. This month, I feel like that would probably have been Ops 45, Ops 46, somewhere in there. Okay, I feel like you guys had the biggest challenge this month, specifically related to these hostiles, because they're hard to punch up into the 50s. They are. All right, with the augment hostiles, they're very hard. Then you had the solo wave defense thing. All right, this was a tough month for late 40s. I agree. All right. You guys were at the beginning part of this loop. I hope, though, that you take solace in the fact that the loop is here, not going anywhere, and ready for you to start when you are ready to start. See what I'm saying? That's another beautiful thing about this. If you miss the arc, you don't miss the content. You know? If you miss the arc, you don't miss the content. You get to come in. You don't have to wait for them to grant you a token. You don't have to wait for swarm for Saturday events to get your blueprints to start something. You get to start this arc when you are good damn well and ready. And I don't want you to lose that fact. If you're an Ops 45, hell, if you're an Ops 43 or an Ops 44, and you can't quite, you're just not there, that's okay. Enterprise says, I'm right there, DJ. I'm Ops 46 and can only get 30 kills of the level 42 hostile on one hull. That's tough. You're going to have a hard time with the loot and the rep and all that stuff. That's tough right now. I get it, Enterprise. Do not despair.
So for free to play who are down in that 45 to 50 area that may have had a hard time and didn't get the 20,000. If you're a true free to play and you don't get the battle passes, the Totium mines can also be helpful for you. It helps in Mirror Universe. A lot of people like doing Mirror Universe grinding and stuff in there. I don't, but a lot of people do. And we got it in the battle pass last month, but only from the paid track. So if you didn't get it, that's an option too, and that'll be a lot less because it's way less shards for a rare.
Bat You Down and Run says you could probably have done this arc a little easier if you could crew your ship as you wish and not as Scopely wanted. You know, I'm not opposed to what they tried here. I agree with you that we've probably crewed our ships better for us, but these weren't terrible crews. They really weren't. Obviously, we've developed better. Yeah. But these were good starter points. Like, if you think of this as an education style of event where players who are just starting out and don't really know crew or they don't plug into a content creator, imagine this. Andy, you pointed out something really good. The suggested Mirror Universe crew kicked ass. I got to be honest with you. I've never used that crew. I was a little surprised. I was just a little bit surprised. Okay? So, Duder says, I felt like it was teaching. I felt like I actually learned something from Scopely, and I don't know how often that actually happens. I don't know if that has ever happened. Okay? These were coherent crews. They might not have been the best, but they were functional. They worked. This was cool.
They had the occasional one that was kind of like a throw-in. Like, I think they had like Tendy show up somewhere, and I was like, oh, Tendy.
Hey, but listen, Tendy, extra hull, below deck, that's fine. That's fine. It's not maybe what we would have chosen. Yeah, it's not terrible. It's not maybe what we would have chosen, but at least it provided a benefit.
Yeah, that's true. And like today, like having Tom Paris on the bridge. I was like, that's weird. That feels funny putting him up there.
It does feel funny, but guess what? It worked.
That's weird.
All right.
Yeah, he's still.
I mean, it worked.
His ability still works. So.
Reaction says, okay, DJ, Rutherford versus Zindy was a troll, though, right? Yeah, I think they missed that one. All right, they did miss that one. They missed that one, but I mean, really, truthfully.
Well, shield health isn't any worse than all health. Why is that?
Zindy doesn't have shield. Or they bypass shield.
No, but you do.
No, they bypass shield.
Right.
They bypass shield. Yeah, so that was a mistake.
Yeah, that was a troll move.
That was a mistake. I don't think it was a troll. I think it was a mistake. All right. But you know what? I'm going to say this, and I never say this. Matter of fact, I always say something different. I always say that Scopely consistently proves to us the disconnect between the designers and the players, right? We've talked about that. We know how the game works better than they do. Whoever chose these crews, they might
play the game.
Yeah, they know what worked. Or at least they know how it was built or like what officers should have some benefit. I mean, I'm not going to go so far as to say that they actively play the game, but they do understand how the game works, which is a big win compared to what we get some other times. All right?
Yep.
Now, Raj says Janeway full synergy and Hugh below deck. Do keep in mind that Hugh will still work for that first shot. All right, but yeah, I agree that that's not the most efficient way to use him, but it does function. Okay, it does function. All right. So anyway, it was interesting, and that's right, Wood Cannon. There was not a hostile level to hit. It was all about the development of your crew. So I think this was not a bad thing. This was cool. A nice design, and I like it, and I want to praise it. All right?
Yeah.
I want to praise it.
Yeah, it was good.
I am so
Raj, the Gorn crew.
Positive energy.
The Gorn crew wasn't worthless. I was a little bit surprised by the Gorn crew. I was.
Yeah, it did good.
Listen, it wasn't. I normally fight Gorn with loot. Okay, fine, but Raj says I hated it. I normally fight Gorn with loot crew. Okay, but that's the exception, not the rule. Listen, the Strange New Worlds crew was not bad. Not bad. Throwing it out there. Was not bad. All right. Mimi says, actually, comparatively, Raj, the Gorn crew was probably the second best crew for killing Gorn with the Eviscerator, which is obviously what they were trying to teach you. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, it was good. And that's right, Cruzito, you're 1,000%. And what we need to remember, the targeting of this event was not our community, but the 90% of players who don't follow this channel. The 90% of players who don't know what the right crew is. The 90% of players who don't fully understand what the min-max is. The 90% of players who didn't realize how good a crew could have been until they had a chance to be told by someone other than a content creator. You know? I mean, pretty daggone good. So I am overall pretty praiseworthy of that event design. I think it's cool. All right? Just as a quick reminder, we just got an announcement. For those of you who are live, if you're listening in podcast, we will get a Saris Invasion tomorrow. So we were just complaining about that with DeMarco. So good that they came through with that. We will get a Saris Invasion tomorrow. Okay? Balabom says, too bad the Eviscerator can't actually reach the hostiles I need to kill with. I know. And yes, Wrath of Khan McCoy is going to be awesome. Okay, a couple of quick service reminders before we take a break and head into our second segment, where Daestros is so pleasantly and politely waiting in the wings. Be sure to spend your choice tokens. Please do not be like UltimatDJz and not spend your Battle Pass choice tokens. Those expire at event reset on Monday. Also, you need to go in and spend your Cons Officer Depot tokens. Those are expiring in, I think, 5 days. You got 5 days to spend your depot tokens. And the Cons Challenger event store is going to close in that was weird.
2.5 days?
2.5 days, yeah. So that'll close in a couple of days, so make sure you get on over there. Anyway, long story short, there's a lot of loot for you to spend over the next couple of days. Please be sure to go and do it. That linking is weird. Be sure to spend. These are the 3 things you got to spend. Your choice tokens out of your Battle Pass, your Cons Officer Depot tokens on the Officer Bundles, and your Cons Challenger tokens on your skins and or Chaos Techs. Okay, those are the things that you need to spend them on. If you're asking what I spent my Officer Depot tokens on, I spent mine on DeMarco. I spent mine on Gwen DeMarco. Okay, so any other final questions? Yes.
Yes. How do you feel about this event series that launched yesterday?
Don't like it.
This premium event. Okay.
Don't like it. Now, here's the deal. Ordinarily, what he is referring to, great question, thank you very much. He is asking about the Augmented Fire event. All right, 4 SMSs accompanied by a meta that cost $50 if you're going to play in it. All right, I am not a fan of this event. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Why are you not wearing clothes? Brother never wears clothes, ever. I mean, look at him.
That's probably like son.
Yeah, I know. What do you want? I'm literally live in the. I'm not even twitching. I'm podcasting. So what do you want? Oh no, I cannot do this right now. I cannot. What is this? Where did you?
Just look infected.
Where did you?
He let go eventually.
Oh my God.
I kept telling him to let go. Listen.
Oh my God. Oliver about busted his head open.
Oh dear.
I bet it was cold. So they went fishing, and instead of fishing, they went swimming. And there was a rope swing.
Here, look at Cam.
And so Oliver drops down on the rope swing and doesn't let go. And so the rope starts swinging back towards the tree. Oh, my God.
Oh, no.
They had to yell at him to let go. Oh, my gosh. That's really cute. Thank you guys for sending that.
Where's the tent? We're going to camp tonight.
That sounds great. It should be on the back. It should be on the back island. It's in a black bag. All right. I'll be in a little while. All right. Yeah, my boys. There's my boys. coming on out and being good. They went fishing, so they're back. They went swimming instead. All right, so here's the deal. Augmented Fire, $50 to play in this event. It's essentially a $50 faction hunt. And each one of these events is going to pay you 310 premium mirror dust. Let's capitalize. Let's talk about all these rewards here, okay? Because this is ultimately what it's going to take. Matters, write this down for me. We got 310 times 4. You got 1,240 premium mirror dust. Do we even want to count up the catalyst and the protomatter? Probably not, right? Probably not.
No, because without reactors, they're pretty much useless.
Yeah. I don't necessarily disagree with you.
Forbidden tech or chaos tech?
No, it's forbidden tech. It's forbidden tech. Okay.
So not useless without them, but still not a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
Not worth what it used to be.
So you've got 300. So you got 1,240 premium mirror dust. That's what you're going to get. Plus 20,000 Officer Depot tokens and 10 more shards of Josham. Now, Josham, cool, fine. That's not a huge draw for me because I'm grinding the rep. All right. And Josham shards are earnable in the Augment store when you get to a certain reputation. So that's not a huge draw for me. But 20,000 Officer Depot tokens, okay, not the end of the world. That is what? 10 epic shards? Right? Are they 4,000? No, they're 4,000, aren't they? 4,000? So that would be five epic shards.
5 epic shards plus 10 Josham. So 15 epic shards total.
10 Josham, 5 of your choice, and 1,240 premium mirror dust. It's pronounced Joaquim. Okay, sorry, I didn't know. Joaquim? Thought it was Josham. Anyway, Joaquim. Okay, cool. I'm good. Joaquim. I'm good with Joaquim. That's great. Thank you for correcting me. Joaquim. 10 Joaquim. 5 epics of your choice and 1,240 premium mirror dust for $50. And a lot of grind. Now, again, I'm not discounting the grind because grind is all we've done this month. Okay? Grind is all we've done this month. As a matter of fact, each one of these events is going to require approximately, for me, this is for me, hitting level 70s, 20 hostels, ballpark, and more if I'm having to hit down. Double that if I have to hit 69s. Quadruple that if I'm hitting 68s. Okay? So I could be looking at roughly 80 hostels if I'm hitting my equal ops.
Yeah.
$50 for 1,200 premium mirror dust? Pass. I got to be honest with you. And by the way, I don't mind the event design. I do not mind. I like ticketed events. I've told you guys before, I like ticketed events. I pay for ticketed events. I will almost always enter ticketed events. I love ticketed events. It's the do more, pay more, get more model. Okay? I'm fine with ticketed events. I've always been fine with ticketed events. But they've got to be worth it. Right? They've got to make sense. And this one doesn't.
Yeah, I was excited when I saw it, when I saw the event series, and
I investigated
read the description on it, and I investigated it, and I went to the store, but as soon as I expected it to be 20.
I expected 22. I think I would have done it if it was 20.
Yep, I was ready to. And I saw the $50, and I was like, nope, not doing it.
If it was $19, I would have done it. You're exactly right, Matters. I had the same reaction. I saw the $50 price tag, and I laughed out loud. I said, wow.
Yeah.
All right, they missed this one. All right, they missed this one. So this event, Augmented Fire, listen, you can totally do it if you want. The value is not there. The value's not there, okay? But if you just want more to do, by all means, go do it, all right? I'm not saying, and if you are desperate for premium mirror dust, all right, this is an extra way that you can get some premium mirror dust without spending $100 on premium, okay? But, yeah, for $50, the value's not there. And Duder says it's even a stretch for 20. I don't know if I would call it a stretch for 20. I mean, 1,200 premium mirror dust, that's got some value in that tree. But again, yeah, I don't know. The value, we'll just say here, the value on this event is not there for me, and I therefore am not participating in this particular event. All right. It would have had to have been more solid for me. Convoluted says, hey, DJ, just throwing it out there. The $50 premium research dust pack has 1,800 premium mirror dust in it. This event has 1,200, and you've got to grind over 360 hostels to get 2/3 of that.
Beer level. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it does with the 15 shards. I mean, we know that those are generally priced at what, $100 for 25 or 20?
Yeah, 25
to Scopely. So comparing it to their standard valuation, it's technically a good deal, but to me, like if it was a giveaway for that, then it would be an easier pill to swallow than to have to do $4,000 events.
Yeah.
On top of paying $50 to get around $50 worth of stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, it's fine. Yeah. It's fine that it's there. I don't think they're going to get a lot of engagement on this, but it's fine that it's there. It's just not. It's not something that I am going to jump in on. Okay. There's other ways that I could have spent $50 this month. Any other questions before we take our final break, and we'll hop back with Dastros. He's got a wonderful Fleet Commander presentation that we're going to give you guys here today. Not just about Con, because he already did Con, but finally delivering an overall broad teaching segment on the Fleet Commanders in their entirety, as well as a little bit of detail thrown in on Fleet Commander Lorca. Finally, that's right. You're going to get Fleet Commander Lorca. It's going to happen. We're going to do that right here on the other side of the break. We're going to take a break here in the podcast and over on Twitch. So appreciate you guys all for being here and hanging out with us a little bit. We appreciate that. We'll be back right after these words. Please don't go anywhere. Talking Trek will return on Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast. Hang tight.
Akşam
Appreciate you guys all being here. Welcome back. What's up? My name is UltimatDJz. This is Talking Track, Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast. Yo, 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 yo. Appreciate you guys all being here. What's going on? Welcome in as we return from our break and get back into some of our incredible teaching content that we got for you here today. We are going to turn it over here to Daystros here in just a moment as we get ready to talk about Fleet Commander Lorca. Not Khan. We already did that. But I'll tell you, there is a funny thing. There is kind of a thing on this show, Matters, that has kind of surrounded the fact that we don't talk about Lorca. And I got to be honest with you, I don't know why. Why do we not talk about Lorca? It's the weirdest daggone thing. All right. And it's not, by the way, that we don't talk about Lorca. All right. It's just that I don't know that we ever did a dedicated teaching segment on him other than just talking about, he's got a gazillion primes built into one. So our resident fleet commander expert, Daystros from Server 32, said, hey, listen, TJ, I got you. We need to talk about Lorca. But not only that, we need to talk about all the fleet commanders because there are so many now and limited number of slots, limited number of skill points. And what is the actual value? Are there tracks? As their officers or fleet commanders specifically for PvP players? Are there officers and fleet commanders specifically for armadas and building and upgrading? And what are the things that we need to know about fleet commanders? Because here's the thing. I would be willing to bet, Daystros, that a large number of players do not swap their fleet commander seats as often as they probably should. How many of you guys think that might be an accurate statement?
I think that's a pretty accurate statement.
I think so too. All right. We jokingly look at Griffin, for example, who missed that. I miss it a lot. RSDJ says, yep, guilty here. Divine says, accurate. Double Sharp says, I don't agree. Say, I don't know. I think that there are some fleet commanders that are absolutely vital for certain tasks in this game. And we can't assume that everybody has all the slots. All right. When we're talking about, what can free to play have at this point now, Daystros? I'm sure this is in your presentation, but what can free to play have as far as fleet commander slots? 4 now or 3? Might be 4.
Well, we have 8 fleet commanders and 7 of the slots are available without having to buy, but or not 7, sorry. Yes, they're available to, players, but can you have them right now would depend really on your syndicate progression and your building progression. So,
I don't think 7 of them are grindable, dude. Pretty sure there's 1 or 2 of them at least that are paid, right?
The only one that's currently only paid is the one that came out this month for the 6th fleet.
No kidding. So wait, 6 slots are grindable?
5 slots are grindable. 6 is the newest one that came out this month.
Huh. Okay. Well, you're going to have to point out where those come from, too, because a lot of the chat is thinking it's just 4. And, Major Pothead says, yo, how do I get the 5th one? Daystros, teach me.
So you can get 1 from your syndicate. You can get 2 from the building. And then the other one that you can get is they ran it in the event store.
That's true. 1 was the event store. That one does count as free. That one counts as free. Nope. That one's not paid. That one counts as free. It was grindable.
Existed, and last month they added all the Fleet Commander stuff as permanent additions to event store months. So it is free to play. Just requires you to dump it all in there.
Well, now listen, that doesn't make it 4 because you got 1 just natively, right? Didn't you have 1 like brand spanking new? Like you got 1.
Yep.
All right, so 1 to start. KJ says it's only 4. Raj says no.
My math might be off. I'll have to double check that one. But
who struggles to count to the number 4? We do. No, I'm kidding. All right. Yeah, still 4. All right. Well, listen, we might not be able to count to the number 4, but we do know a thing or two about Lorca. Daystros, let's talk about Lorca. You misspelled about.
Indeed. So
that was on purpose, right?
So what you'll notice right here is that I might make some references to our great friends from the beloved north of Canada, like Matters and Dr. Judy.
All right, let's talk a bootlicker on behalf of all Canadians everywhere. All right, let's do it for Canada and beyond. Yes! All right. Let's talk about Lorca. So silly. Taste Roast, what do we need to know?
Lorca, we have to first understand that we're talking about Fleet Commander Lorca, guys. So on the next page, let's talk about what a Fleet Commander is. So
and real quick, real quick, before we get deep into this, Taste Roast, I'm going to just to help you with lag on the video screen, I am actually going to share inside the studio a real time. That way you can see this a little bit better. So I'm going to turn this on for you. Okay. That way you can watch it in real time. Boom. There it is. And I'll pop that up for you. So you should be able to pop in that and you'll see without lag. Okay. There you go. Plain Simple Garrick says, wow, a PowerPoint. Oh yeah. We super high tech around here. All right. And besides, it's all about the data that is contained within. Who cares if it's a PowerPoint? I don't know how to use Canva. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And Griffin says he's okay, but he's suffering with electricity. He doesn't have power. They've got something serious going on with their weather down there.
Does this loud music come from you sharing your screen?
What music do you hear?
I don't know. As soon as you said bam and there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Is that better? Yeah, that was me. Oopsies. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, continue.
Alrighty. So what is a Fleet Commander? A Fleet Commander is a unique addition to the game that we saw come out in the final stages of Deep Space Nine as we were transitioning out of that arc. And these are individuals who, like their namesake, they affect everything that a player does in their daily actions. They provide 3 unique research trees that, depending whether they're slotted or not slotted, are either going to be always on or on duty. And each one that has come out at a point in time where what they were providing was unique to either your PvE abilities, your PvP abilities, or just your general progression. And all of them until we got to this second wave that involved Fleet Commander Lorca and Fleet Commander Khan. They had very interesting, unique command center dependencies on their abilities, which in this newer wave, they realized that the bar might have been set a little bit too high. So they kind of brought it back down and made it manageable for players as more of these guys are coming out into the game. So who are all our Fleet Commanders in the game right now? Here we have the list, not including Khan because it was in a separate presentation. We got, in order of their appearance, Fleet Commander Admiral Kirk, Captain Spock, Locutus of Borg, 7 of 9, Admiral Janeway, Luther Sloan, and Gabriel Lorca. So let's talk about how we arrived to being able to unlock all of these individuals. So our sourcing paths in this day and age are the Vindicator sources all Fleet Commanders prior to Khan. End of event store arcs as of last arc now include all Fleet Commander sourcing. Incursions include sourcing for all Fleet Commanders. The Mega Cube still sources Locutus of Borg. And then your daily claim from your command center sources for you Spock and Kirk. So first, let's talk about Fleet Commander Admiral Kirk. He is your kind of explorer guru, kind of like how he was in every show iteration that we've seen him in. He has the abilities of a leader. He's pretty tactical, and like I said, he's an explorer. And he looks like a real life person by the name of maybe Shatner of the Williams. So let's take a look at what
Shatner of the Williams. That's great.
And
I like it.
You might be seeing him next year on a boat that's not quite as far traveling as the Enterprise.
That's right. He's going to be on Star Trek: The Cruise 9, and you have a chance to win tickets to that with our cruise contest that is going on. More information at talkingtrekstfc.com. Thank you for that plug. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So here we see that when you have Admiral Kirk, these are kind of the things that you can expect to get from him. From his leader tree, he's giving us officer stats, which, as we've talked about in this arc with priority one away teams, are extremely valuable. He also provides some rep gain, some morale dependent buffs, and then even more officer stats. But those are going to be selected, or a selected category where you either are going to get health, attack, or defense. In his tactical tree, we see that he provides us ship EXP, which is always great for trying to get those scrap ships leveled, or even just leveling up your daily use ships. He has damage versus FKR hostiles, which is selectable. So if you're going to be smacking the Federation to get your rep up for other guys, you can get even more damage for that. Loot specific buffs against certain types of hostiles. And then he's got some general hostile buffs in there as well that by no means are things to ignore. They're just maybe in today's bloated stat economy, maybe less valuable. And then an Explorer, which is where he really shines. He's got some warp and impulse speed. He was the first one to give us impulse speed that was, always on. We kind of only really had that one source prior to it through the augments. And then as time went on, they started giving us more and more impulse. He's got some protected cargo and some Explorer mitigation stats, more generic stats. And then his shining beacon of light and hope at the end of the tunnel is warp range to make our ships go further than they were designed to go. And then he's also got some ship-specific material efficiencies. So in day-to-day use, what Fleet Commander Admiral Kirk brings to us is, like I said, that still to this day unique warp range boost from a Fleet Commander that nobody else shares. We do see it present in the QSD as of last year, the Quantum Slipstream Drive, but these are things that let our ships go further than they're intended to. And if you're progressing into G6, this is very valuable in getting those G5 epics into further places to let you go further with them before you have to start investing in your G6 ships. It's got a lot of great general combat stats, which, as I said, is becoming more and more of a saturated category, but more stats never hurt anybody. Some ship material efficiencies, which is, again, another bloated category, but as always, no more never hurt. Unique rep gains for those individuals who like to go into the mirror universe. This is one of those sources where it helps you get that rep faster. And then crit damage morale dependent buff. This is fantastic for anyone who's running morale, and thanks to Morale Officer Ensign Kim, we have it available on any ship in PvE in the world that we want. And then your Explorer Strike team is also going to be able to provide that to you. And then officer stats, which, as I said, is extraordinarily valuable in today's economy for priority one away teams. I personally rank Fleet Commander Admiral Kirk as fourth on the list now that we have Khan in the game. Up next was released at the same time with him as kind of that dual bundle of, hey, the command center is going to get you these guys, is Captain Spock, who is a scientific miner. He's got mining, architecture, and scientist as his three trees that he provides. In his skill trees, what we see here is that under miner, he's going to give you just a bunch of different things associated with mining, be that, just mining speed, mining stats on your miners, cargo space, and then some station efficiencies. As we maybe have come to realize between talking about Khan and Kirk, they like to throw in these one-off or two-off abilities in each one of these trees that are not exactly fitting with that category, but that maybe are something to kind of like spice up the tree. In Architect, we see here that we have storage capacity for our station modules, station module efficiencies and speed building. The one-off here is going to be that ship build speed. And then we have our defense platform buffs and ship resource efficiencies. And then in his scientist tree, we'll see here combat stats, more officer stats, research speeds and efficiencies, more mining speed, and research efficiency again. So where does Fleet Commander Captain Spock run down in his daily utility? His values are so low that really they don't affect anything. And with the way G5 and G6 miners are built, the mining speed and even the mining stats are kind of largely irrelevant, mostly because there's no way that a Selkie is ever going to beat a Max Cube. So, these stats really don't amount to much, which kind of makes Fleet Commander Captain Spock kind of relatively low in players' priority. But on those weekend or now their month-long heroic metas that we have for unlocking officers, it is vital that players keep in mind that these efficiencies exist so they can save themselves that little bit extra material, that little bit extra time, especially in G6 land where you're looking at entire years of Sigma speedups needed to get through it, where a Sigma speedup is 1.5 million lat per day, not a cost that we were accustomed to prior to G6. So, but this guy's mostly going to end up being a bench warmer for a overwhelming majority of players. So then after these two guys, we got our next fella, Lakutis of the Borg. This guy's our first truly PvP driven fleet commander that came out from the old guard. He's a combatant, he's an admiral and a mechanic. And what he brings to our gameplay is going to be in his combatant tree. He gives a lot of great stats for going against players, some generic just player damage bonuses, some cloaking stats, some PvP buffs, a decent bit of interceptor utility, and then just some generic all active kinetic damage. In our Admiral tree, we see that he kind of steps away from his PvP role and he gives us faction armada damage, solo armada damage, Dominion and Borg piercing against those solos, and then solo armada utility. And as a mechanic, as kind of the name implies, some repair speed, some ship specific mitigation, loop specific loop boosts for the Vidartalios and the Borg loop, and then some generic hull health and ship health stats as well. This guy's a little bit more valuable than Spock was. He's got some unique sourcing of buffs here that help out in PvP. He provides a little bit extra punch up assistance for players struggling with those Borg solos or the Dominion solos, a decent amount of generic ship stats, and pretty nice loop boost ability for players still going through their Borg loop who haven't finished their Vidar Talios masteries. This kind of was the first source in being able to help them get through it. And he's considered rather valuable in your PvP settings, but for PvP use, it kind of bumps down to fourth, fifth, maybe sixth now that Khan is out there, and if you have him unlocked. Up next, we have 7 of 9, who to this day is going to be an incredibly valuable source of speeding up the fleet commander path and the command center path as well. She's a combatant, a fabricator, and a scientist. And what she gives us here is going to be as a combatant, she's providing us with station combat utility, which is not so valuable. Some player combat stats specifically geared more towards your battleships, which with players utilizing the cube is pretty useful. And then she's got some unique amplifiers to buffs and debuffs in PvP. But where she really shines is in her fabricator tree, where once we get through the little muck and grime of maybe some botany bay utility and some stellar utility, we start to see the first real big thing, which is command center acceleration. This was the way that Scopely gave us of accelerating the speed at which we could level our command center, because each level of this skill provided us with more of those quantum communicators per day. So it kind of sped up how many, shortened the time it would take for us to level up that building. She also had some broken parts, loot boosts as well. But then for Fleet Commander, she comes in and she gives the first efficiency that we saw for utilizing their scare points to give us that first source of savings for skill points. In her scientist tree, we go kind of back down to less valuable things of minor efficiency, cargo capacity, ship part efficiency, and then some generic hull health and armada specific buffs. In her case, like I said, her biggest utility is really coming from that fleet commander skill point efficiency and that command center acceleration. She's got some interesting loot specific utility and PvP stats. Uh, Definitely would consider her for an active slot if you're going to be engaging in PvP, especially if you have a battleship that you're going to be utilizing. But otherwise, her utility is going to be always on once she's unlocked. Once you get those two efficiencies going. Up next, we have the Coffee Queen herself, and that's Admiral Janeway. She is, as we talked about before, she makes Q trials extremely trivial once you get familiar with where she's going to be coming in handy. She's a tactician, an admiral, and she's a scientist. So in her tactician tree, this is where it's all about making that Q trials life significantly easier, where we see she provides us mitigation, damage, and the damage reduction directly from the hostiles themselves, which is we talked about utilizing this plus a boosted Chen, be it PMC or Pike with some other one of his synergies, is going to let us get to that point where we can kind of negate what the Q Trials is doing to our ships. Then she's also got some generic whole health. Um, when she released, she also came out with a very unique ability of cooldown removal reduction, where she didn't have any cooldown to take her off once you slaughtered her, which was valuable because prior to the update we saw around the time of Lorca, or not Lorca, sorry, earlier this year, where they dropped that cooldown to 30 minutes, you're looking at 8 hours or a day, to get a fleet commander slot back once you took somebody there. So her having this meant you could really just slaughter in to do your coup trials when you needed to, then take her back out and not incur a penalty trying to put somebody else back in the place. Uh, and then as an admiral, she's also going to be giving us more damage against armadas, some ship-specific armada buffs, armada utility, and rare formation armada loot. Which this was great because that chest that we get to go through every day is how we were originally sourcing great officers like her, like Chakotay, like Doctor, like our Voyager Rare. So it was great to see that we were getting more loot from those through this. And then as a scientist, she's also going to be giving us research efficiency, research speed, and then some generic whole health and isolated defense, which uh, is fantastic. Her day-to-day use is going to be, again, like I said, you putting her on that in that active slot to utilize those Q trial buffs to make those trials quick, easy, and not need any boost juice there. She's got some great Armada punch up utility, which going into G6 early can definitely help you overcome those solos, which are a great source of being able to progress in G6 life. And then she's got some unique and individual efficiencies going on there. As I say here, she's absolutely for your essential for your Q trials progression, and should consider utilizing her for armadas. As far as her ranking overall, I'd say she probably ranks about fourth or fifth still. Less valuable when you're not doing things related to Q trials. Now we get to the sleuthy man himself, Fleet Commander Luther Sloan. He was a unique introduction into the game where he kind of broke out of the old style era where we need all these rare skill points to get the good stuff leveled up. And he also was kind of a mix of everything, kind of like a jack of all trades. So he was a tactician, a mechanic, and an escapist. The things he was bringing us to our game were kind of all over the place. Um, some of the stuff that we'll see here is that as a tactician, he's giving us isolated damage, isolated defense, and piercing stats, amalgam loot boost, hostile loot boost, station delay, uh, delaying those cannons, armada buffs, and cargo. And that's just in one tree where he's got all these things scattered everywhere. Mechanic is a little bit neater, where he's going to have mitigation stats, forbidden tech efficiency, which is fantastic because this was for making our ability to get through all those forbidden techs a lot easier. The minion solo loot boost, generic cold health, and then rhodium and cosmic particle efficiencies. These are the G4, G5 specific particles that at the time were very difficult to source, but as we got the revamp of the dailies, kind of became much easier to source and contend with. And then as escapist, here we see something that is incredibly unique, and that's going to be cloaking mitigation, reduction of opponents when you're cloaking, so cloaking mitigation reductions, generic weapon damage, warp speed, and then more of that fleet FKR rep boost that we love to see. So where is Sloan's utility? It's going to be, he was the first fleet commander that we got that didn't need rare skill points anywhere. He's got an incredibly vast variety of buffs, and then that cloaking counter surveillance. That is that huge reduction of the opponent's mitigation when you're cloaked. So it came real valuable when we got the Crenum solos introduced. When you cloaked one of your ships, it benefited both ships. This is, the creme of the creme as far as he goes. Forbidden Tech, Cosmic, and Rhodium efficiencies, and Sloan skill points are uniquely sourced from the Section 31 store, the Vindicator, and event stores he is available in. As far as your PvP or PvE needs go, I ranked them second, but with the introduction of Khan, he kind of comes down into third. So where do we get all these materials to upgrade our fleet commanders from? Well, our Titan's daily refinery is a sourcing for the generic skill points that is needed for everybody up to Janeway. So it does not include Sloan, Lorca, or Khan. The Borg Solo Refinery has the materials we need for ranking them up, which you kind of get one per generation. And then the level up material that we need, that Fleet Commander EXP. The Vindicator Refinery gives you everything you need to upgrade a Fleet Commander, and it gives you skill points for Sloan and Lorca. And then our Section 31 store's got those Sloan skill points, and the Command Center upgrades also give you more of those uncommon skill points that we need to get the guys going. And that's the presentation for you, DJs.
Yay! Thanks, Tasters.
Absolutely. We talked about everybody, right?
You did get Lorca, right?
Wait, we didn't talk about Lorca?
I don't think we talked about Lorca.
Oh. We didn't talk about Lorca.
Yeah, always missing Lorca, you silly guy.
Well, is it the end, DJs?
Oh, jeez.
Simply talk about Lorca.
Yeah, let's talk about Luca. Luca. Can we talk about Luca and then Lorca? All right. What else we got?
Alrighty, so yes, guys, if you go on to the next slide, it is finally time for us to talk about Fleet Commander Lorca. Fleet Commander Gabriel Lorca. He is the absolute blind goat. Inarguably the number one fleet commander for PvP or PvE. I don't care who you are. This man, he's got it all. So if we take a look, what does he bring to us? He brings to us two types of impulse speeds. Just remember, one of those is a trap. He's giving us isolytic damage, generic whole health, shield health, crit chance, armada buffs, invading entity buffs, and that first ever active ability, Lorca's Fists. Now, I want to remind you guys that this guy, every single one of these nodes is basically at the level of a prime. So we're talking about scattered throughout here, no less than 10 primes worth of nodes that are ginormous. And that Lorca's Fist is just an absolute monster in giving us punch-up ability. In the leadership tree, this is where we see those beautiful efficiencies that we love to see. Research efficiencies for materials and resources, repair efficiency, forbidden tech and artifact efficiency. Let's remind our dear friend Griffin to make sure it's actually selected. Building efficiencies, ship efficiencies that even with the Dolomine primes in the game are still huge. And then even more research efficiency. In that tactician tree, we see things like bonus mining, which is great because that means you're taking more off of a node, not mining it faster. A ginormous amount of officer stats, some warp speed, cargo, which is great for your G6 ships, armada and invading entity buffs, which at the time that he came out, he was kind of really our only source of buffs towards invading entities. And even now, like his invading entity buffs are still ginormous. Isolytic defense, PvP and PvE Apex barrier, which is phenomenal. And then anti-station delay. So he kind of undid what Lorca or what Sloan was doing for us. So this guy, he's got efficiencies everywhere. They're all there. And he's got it for everything, and they're huge. Isolytic and Apex buffs, invading entities, Armada, and hostile utility like no other. And then he does have the distinction of not only being blind, but being extremely difficult to acquire, not only his skill points, but he himself. So the sources that we have are going to be from Incursions, Vindicator, and most recently Event Stores. Like I said, each one of those efficiencies in there is at the level of a prime. So we're talking about one guy bringing us at least $1,000 worth of primes in just one source. Like I said, undoubtedly ranked number one for PvE, no question. As a reminder, guys, you gotta put him in slot 1 if you want to use that active ability. And don't forget that those efficiencies, the Forbidden Tech and the Artifact efficiency, they have to be selected. You gotta remember to switch between them when you're doing things. Now we're officially done, DJs.
Okay, fantastic. Good job. Woo! All right. All right, so for those of you who are like, man, I'm super impressed that DJs ain't interrupting anything. It's because I just got in a 21-minute workout for Cardio Quest. Yeah, that's right. Yeah! See?
Yes.
We're getting healthy while we're playing Star Trek. All right, there you go. Appreciate that. Thank you. That's phenomenal. Now I can't stop it. How do you actually stop it? It won't stop. Oh, there we go. End. Okay, cool. There you go. Now, Divine says that we missed one particular aspect here, which I would agree with, is which ones are active and which ones are always on. Here's the thing. If you go through and take a look at some of these, he already told you which ones need to be slotted and which ones can sit on the bench, okay? When you are working on that, that will, by default, come to you with the stuff that is always on. I agree that there are definite skills that have some value that are always on, but having them on the bench still means that they're always on. Work your way through that tree, spend the skill points. You're getting all those skill points, especially from the Vindicator Refinery. So do that and work on those skills, and you'll make some progress there. Okay. Any other questions or anything right there on Fleet Commanders before we get ready to wrap up? Carissa says, "Hey, what do you do with your treadmill when you're not using it?" Actually, mine is just a little fold up. Not even a fold up. It stands on its end. It's got wheels. So I just pick it up and I slide it right over here next to my desk and I lean it against the wall. Right there. Boom. Done.
Easy
Now
peasy.
it's away. So yeah, and I'm standing. My heart rate's at 131, so I'm trying not to sound like I'm winded. Any other questions about Fleet Commanders or anything else that we can ask Daystros before we get ready to go? Is the treadmill flammable? Obviously it is. Thank you for that. Appreciate you. All right. DeCourcy says, I caught you late. Did you go over how to source the... What are we sourcing? Did we go over how to source the what? Question mark. He says, source the question mark. Missed that particular piece. The Fleet Commanders? Yeah, he talked about where you can get them from, so you'll be able to hop back on those. He goes over the sourcing for each one of them. Okay. Lost in? No, I didn't. I actually was watching that while I was walking. Let me say a couple of thank yous very quick to Engineer, Lost in, Zoidberg, Lost in, who dropped a 25 bomb. A 25 bomb and gifted another sub to Saitan, and that gets us to 102. So another bonus stream unlocked. Roger Workman, thank you for the 34-month resub. Appreciate that. Iron Chef for the kitty bitties. And Zoso Zeppelin for the YouTube sub. Appreciate that over there. So that is another bonus stream. See, I was going to pay my bonus stream tomorrow, and now I've got another one. I got another one to give you, so that's good. Now, given the time that it is tonight, what I believe we're not going to be able to play our other game tonight. What I believe that we will do is we'll get ready to wrap up. We're going to take a short break, and then Studio B will be back tonight. And that way, because tomorrow's a holiday, and then tomorrow we'll be out. Scythen. Is that how we say it? Scythen. All right. Silvertab says, back from hosting a barbecue, what have I missed in the last 7 hours? Not a big deal. Just go back and you can pick it up. Vic says, other game, is that Schedule 1? No, I've been playing that a little bit, but no, I actually have a contract game. C-Thin. Okay. See, I was saying it all wrong. I have another game that they've actually contracted me to play. It's an early release game, so we'll have to probably play it tomorrow. We'll do it's an early release game. You guys can't get it yet. They've given me a Steam code. They want me to talk about it and play it, and it looks fun. I think I'm going to enjoy it. So we'll play that probably a little bit tomorrow, and then if you guys want to pick it up, you should be able to do that. It looks like it's going to be a very, very cheap game, just a nice little puzzle game that I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys. So it is called. Let me see if I can find the name of it here real quick. It is called Power Sync. It's called Power Sync, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys, but we're out of time tonight. We'll have to do it tomorrow. For those of you still hanging out, appreciate that. Still over 300 of you in the live studio audience. You're amazing. Love you all. And I think that's going to about do it. Yeah, man, that's going to go. There was a fire in the garage. All right, listen, appreciate you guys all for coming out, hanging out on a Sunday. Happy Memorial Day weekend for those of you in the States. We are off tomorrow. So as far as here in the States, as far as work, I'm off work tomorrow. So I'm going to be coming out and doing our bonus stream. Not this one, the other bonus stream. I'm going to do the other bonus stream for you tomorrow. And a community choice game day tomorrow. And we'll do a little bit of STFC as well. Yay us, says Shelby. Absolutely. We'll be doing more streaming tomorrow, and we'll get ready to plan our next bonus stream and all the fun stuff that comes with it. Daystros, amazing job. Thank you for the Fleet Commander presentation. You did a phenomenal job. Everybody, a round of applause for Daystros. Thank you so very much for your teaching. Matters, appreciate you being here. Thoughts and prayers for Griffin, who is dealing with a power outage right now. He still doesn't have power back. So hopefully nothing catches on fire over there. That's what I'm going to hope for. In the meantime, we're going to head on out of here. Appreciate you guys all being here. Please visit our website at TalkingTrekSTFC.com, where you can find links to our Star Trek The Cruise sweepstakes giveaway. We are giving away a cruise. Not just any cruise. Tickets aboard the Star Trek cruise. You've got a chance to come in and win that. Not only that, you've got chances to win free STFC packs as well. That will be coming up as well. We appreciate you. Also find a link on over to our merch store and our Patreon, where you can get caught up on previous episodes of Studio B. That is available on our Patreon as well. Support the show and get your name turned gold and get access to our special gold chat here right inside our Discord. Thank you guys all so very much for being a part of our amazing community, and thank you for listening to today's content here on podcast, YouTube, Twitch, or wherever you may be. My name is UltimatDJz. I'm your friendly neighborhood cat person. Say meow for now. Love you, mean it. We will catch you tomorrow. In the meantime, those of you in the live studio audience, hang tight as we get ready to raid on out to, let's see, who's streaming? Let's see. We got Skittish and Bus. We've got Nybeats. We've got Noah, Moshcraft. Yeah, Power Sync looks cool. I'm looking forward to it. You know what? We haven't raided Skittish and Bus for a little bit. Let's go enjoy. I'll get you guys warmed up with Skittish and... Wait, where's CDB? I don't see CDB. Is CDB streaming? Yeah, Bus is there. That's CDB. Am I not following CDB? Hey, someone give me his channel link. How? I know I'm following. Why is it not showing up? Okay, we're going to raid over there. Somebody give me CDB's channel. Give it to me. 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 And then we're going to go. You guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you, everybody. Pieces. Meow.